children of driving ages. Welcome to Autoland. My name is Dave Albertson. I'm with Above and Beyond Entertainment. But today's not about me, it's about you, and it's about the great things TeenDrive365 is doing, in Toyota. So we appreciate you being here today. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce the man in charge of this fantastic showroom and this great facility, the president of Autoland, Mr. Mark Mantanaro.
Good morning. Good morning. I know, the last thing you wanted to do is wake up this early to come to an educational event. I promise you that Jim Million is going to put a smile on your face today. You're going to learn a lot. Parents as well, because I'm a parent of 3 college kids, and I can tell you they blew my mind. So we're going to have a lot of fun. I want you to feel like this is your home, because it is your home. And our staff, we have 250 people here, all live local, all live in the area. We're all here to help you. So anybody you see with an Autoland shirt or a tag, you ask them any question. If they don't get you the answer, they'll find someone who can. Okay? I want to thank Toyota Motor Company for choosing Autoland to host this event. You know, when they first told us about it, it just kind of blossomed into something a lot larger. It was really cool watching some of you walk in, bebop into the music, and I don't know what you expected when you walked in today, but we were hoping to put a little smile on your faces, and hopefully you're going to get a lot out of this, because we want all of you to be safe and you know, keep other people safe on the road. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jim Million. What a last name, huh? Million. So, Jim, take it over, buddy.
Give him a big hand, will you? I got to tell you something. Before he leaves, I want you to stay right here, because it's because of this gentleman and all of his staff that they put this whole thing together for you. We've been doing this for a long time, man, and like I told you the first one, and I really mean it, we walked in. It was so impressive that even Debbie, who you met Debbie at registration, she's my heart, basically. She takes care of me and everything needs to get done. She called me and said, man, you should see this thing. You should see this. She was, last night she called me, I called her back, it's exactly what she said. She says, tomorrow is going to be an event like we've never done before, and it's exactly right. Look at this. Look what they put together. Do me a favor, if you will, for your benefit, he did this, he and his staff. Give him another big hand. Thanks, Mark. I got to tell you, we've been doing this for over 10 years, but not in the dealership. We're doing on-the-road program, and we've been doing it for 10 years, and Toyota's dedicated to teen safety. We decided to do this 10 years ago under three conditions. Number one, no charge to the public at all, ever, anytime at all. The only investment you have is your time here, and that's it. And you're brave for sitting in the front rows, I gotta tell you. You're looking at mom going, I made her. And the second condition they said is that parents must participate. You can't drop the kids off and leave, you must participate. We create a curriculum so that you're involved too. You know why? We believe safe driving begins in the home. We believe that wholeheartedly. And number 3, no selling is going to occur. I'm not Ron Popeil. I'm not here to sell you anything. The only thing we want to sell you on is keeping your teens alive, and that's it. That is totally it. This is wonderful that they've done this for us today. I got to tell you, this is amazing. And I'm a parent too. I'm also a grandparent. My oldest is 43, went through the driving experience with her. You'll hear about that. I've got a 38-year-old son. I've got a 15-year-old son right now that's just learning to drive. I have a 9-year-old son that thinks he knows how to drive, and I have a 14-week-old boy that drives us crazy, especially when he has gas. So let me tell you, we have kids going through our house like a revolving door, and we'll have many to come, because that's what we're committed to, is raising kids. That's basically what we have been committed. That's what we think our job here on this earth is to do. So let's do it. So everybody stand up. This is how we're going to get started, if you will. Everybody stand up. Here's what I want you to do. We're going to start the session this way. Teens, I want you facing your parents, your grandparents, aunt, uncle, whoever it is that brought you here, okay? I want you facing them, especially if you're related to them. This is very important that you see this. I want you very, very closely to take a good look at the person that brought you today. Here's why. Teens, I want you to look at them really good, because in a few short years, you're going to look just like them. I know, some of the kids are going, oh my gosh, no, please. Really, here's why we're doing this, and it's for your benefit, parents. Here's why. Because we're committed that what we teach you today is just the beginning of an education. Hopefully, purposefully, is for this. So that 15 or 20 years from now, you can still look into your kids' eyes physically. You can still tell them, and they can still hear you with their own ears, how much you love them and care about them and are glad that they're here. You can still put your arms around them and physically give them a hug instead of having to look at a picture. or a memorial that's on a mantle because of something that could have been avoided if they only had the education to avoid that. And that's why we're here today. So do me a favor, parents, go ahead and give your kids a hug. Tell them how much you care about them, you love them, and then go ahead and have a seat and we'll get on the road here. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. You know, one thing that people tell us all the time is that, you know, it's never, ever too late to, and you never tell people enough that you love them, especially when you're family, right? Never tell. Now, we got to cover a few things here. First thing is, first phones, okay? Everybody pull your phones out. I know we have them. Parents and teens alike, we all have them, so pull your phones out. Do me a favor, put them on stun or vibrate, if you will, so that they don't ring during class. But I want you to keep them out. I want the teens to keep them out especially. I want you to take a good look at your phone. I'm going to send a message to it. This is amazing. How amazing it is I can send a message to every one of your phones at the same time. Watch this. Everybody hold them high in the air. Teens, hold your phones high in the air. Here's the message. I'm going to tell you, this is why I really believe that this will work. Watch what you do. At the count of 3, I want you to take a look at your phone at the count of 3. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Hand them over to mom or dad. Hand them right over. Hand them over. She'll give them back to you. They'll give them back to you. I promise you. There you go. Hand it over. Look at the pain going on in the middle. They're like, oh my God, I can't do it. No, make me. You know, my 9-year-old, I took his iPad away from him the other day because his school was not really happy with what he had done. So my wife is the one that did it. She kind of lost it. She's been dealing with the baby, so she says, give me your iPad. No electronics all weekend. Oh my gosh. He called me, 9 years old, going through a nervous breakdown. A meltdown right on the phone. He said, Dad, I said, son, it's electronics. You don't understand my life. Went through, oh my God, I do this and I FaceTime with my best friend and I do. Are you kidding me? That told me there's a problem, isn't there? So we're dealing with it right now. I told him, you know what, if Gandhi can go 30 days without food and water, you can be without your phone for 2.5 hours. For goodness sakes. All right, that's number one. The real reason we do that is they're a big distraction in the car, but they also are in the classroom. I teach adults for a living. That's basically what I do for a living. I love doing this on the weekends. But one of the things I got to do is I make the adults check their phones at the door. Because they're so accustomed to using them too, they pull them out and text while you're talking to them. Come on, give me a break. Isn't that crazy? In Texas, you got to make them check their guns and their phones. It's crazy. At least here, I only have to make you check your phones. All right, let's do this. Here, the next thing is restrooms. Everybody know where the restrooms are at, right? They're right around the corner to my left. They're probably on the other side of the store, too. They got them everywhere here. They're nice restrooms, too. I took pictures because we're going to remodel, and so I'm going to use these as ideas. The third thing is breaks. We will take breaks, but they're going to be a natural break. We're not going to just take a break and say, okay, we're going to break for 15 minutes, because I'm going to move you from here to the simulator, and then we're going to go around the vehicles over here, then we're going to come back here. We're going to keep you moving. We're going to give you so much information. Books and pens. Everybody have them? Got to have them, because I'm going to make you right. I'm going to make you right. Watch it. No, don't give her her phone back. Don't give it back. I'm sorry. No way. I'll take it. Here, give it to me. I'll keep it. I'll keep it. Uncle Jim has your phone now, girl. I'll tell you what. I don't know who's saying. Wow. Look at that. Ooh. Do you know him? All right. You'll keep it. Don't you give it back to her either. All right? And then, of course, make sure that we have that ARS keypad. That's that remote control thing that you have. It doesn't control televisions. It just uses for, we're going to do it for questions and answers. Some of you teens, if you don't have it, some of you think that there's a mute button and try to shut me up. You can't do it either. Have you tried it? Do you have yours? Put it around your neck. We're going to use it. Or put it somewhere, because we're going to use it. Because that's almost one of the first things we're going to do. Okay? And so we're going to have some fun today. Is it okay to have fun? Yeah. You know, we really believe the more fun you have, the more you learn. And kids, let me tell you, yeah, I know, we get kids coming all the time, they're like, I really don't want to be here. I understand that. A lot of us don't really want to be here, but you know what, I think you're going to be glad too. You'll probably learn a bunch of stuff too. Here's our process. We're in the opening session. I'm going to prove to you, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that we got a problem. And that's why we're here, is for solutions to that problem. Second thing is, I'm going to teach you a little bit about safety. Some stuff you already know, some stuff you didn't know. Galileo said learning is simply remembering things you already knew anyway. And then we're going to get around some of the vehicles. I'm going to teach you a little bit about the vehicles, basic understanding. When some of you got your license a long time ago, I got mine way back when. In fact, when I got my license, I was holding the reins of a horse and a whip for a buggy. That's how old I am. But there's a bunch you need to know about vehicles. They used to make you change a tire before they gave you your license years ago. Now they don't make you do that anymore. We have roadside assistance, we have AAA. Well, guess what? You may not have signals, so you may have to learn how to change a tire. But we're going to give you a little bit about vehicles as well. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about communication, and then we're going to make some promises to each other called mutual agreements. You're going to promise us to use good driving behavior. We're going to promise you to be good role models and to be good coaches too, all right? That's what we're going to do. That's kind of what we're going to do. Go to first of all, before you even open your book, put your name at the bottom in that white space on your front cover. That way you know that that's your book. Just put your first name, last name, whatever you want to put. This is your book. It's your reference guide. It's your resource guide for the entire program, if you will. Okay? And then open it up to page number 2, and you'll see that it says my biggest fear. We have a question that's really a two-type question. The question for the teens is, what is your biggest fear as it relates to driving? Question for parents is, what's your biggest fear as it relates to your teen driving? Well, let me just tell you this. First of all, it's okay to have some fear, as long as that fear turns to respect. That's what it's really about. It turns to respect. I'll give you an example. How many of you in here would say, let me see how many are drivers. How many of you in here, teens, are driving already? Let me see your hands. We only have a couple. We have 3, 4. In the last class, most of them were drivers. We had the minority were not drivers. So, we have a few drivers and a few non-drivers. Well, this is a question for everybody. How many of you in here fear big trucks? Let me see your hands. I've seen those movies. Have you seen those movies, Final Destination, where thing falls off the trucks and goes through the windshields of cars and stuff? I don't fear the trucks anymore as much as I respect them. Because I know that they're going to move over. If they have their blinker on, they're moving over. So I'm just going to give them room. That's it. How many of you, what are some other fears? Let me ask some of the teens. What are your fears, teens? Anybody, scream it out. As loud as you can. Somebody jumping out in front of your car? I understand. I live in New Mexico. Seriously, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and there's animals that'll jump out in front. There is deer up here in some area too. So that scares me too, because it's something that can happen so quick. What are some other fears that we might have? Parents or teens, what are they? Yes, ma'am.
Driving in bad weather and car sliding.
Good. Driving in bad weather, which is difficult anyway. And then what about like when it's snowing, even the lighting, right? It's hard. It's hard to tell. You can't even see the lines in the road when it's snowing and when there's some bad weather sometimes. What are some others? Yes, ma'am.
Stranded somewhere. Getting stranded.
Getting stranded somewhere. And that can be a danger too. Especially if you grew up in the neighborhood that I grew up in. I mean, the Avon lady was Al Capone. I'm only kidding. But the fact was, it wasn't a good neighborhood. You want to get out of there. You'll be stranded somewhere you shouldn't be. What about crashes? Anybody in here afraid of crashes or see them? You know what? And we call them crashes for a reason. They're not accidents. You know what an accident is, right? It's something that happens that you can't control. A meteor falls from the sky and falls on your car. Oh my gosh, that's an accident. A crash is something that you or both parties could have done something to avoid. That's why we call them crashes. But yeah, we all fear them. But we need to start respecting. Let's turn it to respect, and that's okay. My 15-year-old son, you know what, he takes so much time getting ready to drive, and I'm glad. I'm glad. My fear is not him as much as it is everybody else, all the other drivers. Because courtesy doesn't exist anymore, it seems like, on the roadways. And your place is no different. I hate to say it, but I came into this, fly into the airport, you get on the freeways, and if there's a space to merge, what happens to it? Somebody takes it up. They don't want you to move over. Even when you have your flasher on and you're just telling them, please, I need to get over, they speed up so that you won't. It's crazy. We need to bring courtesy back. That will help solve some of the problems. So I put that in your book for a reason. Go home and talk about it with each other. Don't be afraid to talk about fears. As long as we bring them under control, that's okay, as long as they turn to respect. Now, here is our purpose for today. I want everybody to read it with me, and then when it comes to the red, I want you to scream it as loud as you can. Number 1 is this to make us all better prepared for what?
Unexpected.
Absolutely, because just like you were saying, People or anything jumping out in front of your cars? That can happen. The other one is to make us all better what? Drivers. There you go, because eventually we're all going to be drivers, every one of us. And some of us that have been driving for 5 years, right? We need to learn that again. We might have forgotten some of that. And then the bottom line is to do what? Save lives. And it's not just the lives of the folks in the cars. It's lives of pedestrians as well. How many have seen pedestrians walk in front of traffic because they're buried in their devices? Their nose is in their texting, and so they don't pay attention to what they're doing. I go on YouTube and I laugh at the videos that I see them in the shopping centers falling in fountains because they're not watching where they're going. But you wonder about out there in traffic. It happens. Or drivers that are doing it and coming up on curbs and not realizing it, hitting innocent people. So we want to save everybody's life. That's really what it's about. So do me a favor, put your books away and let's find out how much you know. We're going to use, this is our first knowledge check. You're going to use those little remote control devices, if you will. And I'm going to ask questions. I'll throw them up on the screen. And I know we have about 42 to 44 people here. So we should get at least 40 responses. I'm going to put the question up on the screen. And I'm going to leave this one up for a while so you can register your device. You register your device by answering the question. The first question is, motor vehicle crashes are the #1 cause of death for who? Is it A, all males, B, teens, C, all females, D, U.S. citizens, or is it E, household pets? Now, if you'll notice the numbers at the bottom, we have 21 people registered so far. Keep punching your button. You can change your answer as often as you like until I close the polling. We've got 40 in there. I know we have at least 42, so let's keep, there you go, there's 41, there's 42. Okay, so that first time tells us that it's been registered. There we go, we have 44. I know we probably have more than that now, but that's okay, 44. I'll give them a chance to push a button too. You can push any button, right or wrong, that'll register your device. Normally I only give you 10 seconds. Notice the right hand corner, a little 10-second will appear just like that, and it counts down. When it hits 0, it closes the polling and we move on from there. So here's what's going to happen. You have 3 seconds left. We've got 44 responses, and this is how you responded. 82% of you were correct. Teens. That's the #1 cause of death for teens. Now, let me just say thank you right away. Why? Because nobody said household pets. Thank you. I know that we don't have any smart Alex in the audience, and that's really great. Thank you. Watch. You watch it, girl. I'm watching you. All right? My eyes are on you. All right? Here's the second question. Every year, more than how many teens are killed in vehicle crashes? Is it 1,000, 7,000, 3,500, or less than 3,500? You have now 7 seconds to answer. You notice what happens? 4 seconds going away. We now only have 33 out of the 45. We got up to 39. You're doing a good job. I'm very proud of you. Here's what you said. 54% of you said 3,500, and that's absolutely correct. 3,500. Now before we move on, I want you to ponder that for a second. Let me ask you kids this. What's the average size of a high school in this area? How many kids? 1,000? If it's 1,000, that's like 3.5 entire high schools in one night disappearing. 3.5 whole high schools. We lose, and I want you parents, let's put this into perspective. We lost more teens in 1 year than we lost soldiers in the war overseas for the entirety of the war. More in 1 year. Do we have a problem? Yeah, there is. And that's why you're here. And we're thankful for that. Here's the third question. Teen drivers are involved in fatal traffic crashes at over what the rate of the rest of the population? Is it 3 times, 2 times, 4 times, or 10 times the rate of the rest of the population? We go back to it here. You see it? We have 3 seconds left. You're doing very well. 39 have responded. 42 responded. Here's what you said. You said 36% of you said 3 times. Many of you said 2 times. There it is. Twice the amount. Now, any of it is more. And you kids, we're not trying to beat you up. This isn't just because you're teens. We were teens once too. We were teens once. But here's the next question. What's the most common error in fatal crash? Is it A, speeding? That's what all those words say, is speeding. Is it B, reckless driving? C, being distracted? Or D, rubbernecking? Rubbernecking is looking to see what's going on because a bunch of cars are out there. That's what rubbernecking means. And you have 3 seconds left, 2 seconds. Everybody answered. We did pretty good. There you go. You know what? You said that being distracted, but the answer is what? Speeding. Speeding is the most common error. Now, be honest with me, if you will, those of you that are drivers. How many of you would raise your hand and say, yes, I have in the past. I do speed once in a while. Let me see your hands. High, up high. Take the picture now. You wanted it, take it. All right, they got your face now. Now, I'll be honest with you. What's the reason? I mean, when we got our license years ago, you could tell you were going 65 miles an hour because cars weren't that comfortable. You knew you were going 65. In fact, how many of you had a 255 air conditioner in your car? You know what that is, right? 2 windows down, going 55 miles an hour? I know, that's what we had back then. You knew you were going fast. Nowadays, you can go 70, 80 miles an hour like that, and it's very comfortable. You can't even tell you're going that fast. And I'm not saying it's bad because the vehicles are that way. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is. So we have to be careful. Remember that. Here's the next question. About 6,000 deaths and 500,000 injuries are caused by what kind of drivers every year? Is it A, drunk, B, reckless, C, distracted, or D, underage drivers? You have 10 seconds. A lot of people say, oh, I know the answer to this one. Let's see. You have 3 seconds to tell me now. You're all done. Let's see what you said. You know, most people say drunk, but guess what? It's distracted drivers. Imagine being drunk and distracted. The research actually shows, they say that a distracted driver performs as well as a drunk driver with reaction time. Now, I'm going to say some things today that the teens are going to go, gosh, I wish you wouldn't say that. Gosh, I wish you wouldn't. You know what? You're going to look at me. There's probably 3. I can tell 3 for sure. The good news is this. I'm not going home with you tonight. So guess what? I'm going to say them anyway. And your parents are probably going to be like, you know what? I tried to tell you that. Here's what we're saying. You represent 6% of all the what and 16% of all the what? Is it the crashes and drivers? Or is it 6% of all drivers and 16 of crashes? Or is it 6% of population and 16 of the Americans? Or is it really 6% of the intelligent people and 16% of all the beautiful people? You got 10 seconds to answer that one. It won't take you that long, will it? Look how many answers you got already, 28. I promised I'd stay on the stage more, but I'm having a hard time. My feet want to get out there. All right, here's what you said. 68% of you are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. However, we have a problem. 3 of you are messing with me. Right there. 3 of you. You know what? I got your number. I'll tell you exactly who it is. No, I won't. I won't tell you. That's okay. We are having fun. And that's okay to have fun. All right. Open your books again. The bottom of page number 2, those are all the answers right there. All the answers are right there. Everything that we went through. Now, I did that for a reason, because sometimes our electronics fails. Well, we have a backup. It's in the book. But more importantly, you can go home, because you're only, how old are you? 14? Guess what? For a couple of years, you can sit there with whoever it is, and you can talk about these statistics. Now, guess what? What we do today is going to make those change. I hope we have a positive effect on them. That's what we want to do. So let's do this. Let me ask you kids a question. In fact, let's do it this way. All the kids stand up. Teens, stand up, if you will. Debbie, we probably have how many teens here? About what, 20? Huh? 25 teens. Okay, so if we have 25 teens here, let's have everybody but the first 2 rows sit down. Look at all the teens in this audience. All of them sit down except for the first 2 rows. There you have it right there. There's your representation. You all represent the odds. If we were in Vegas, I'd bet on you. What I'm saying is that you represent that 1 in 5 or the 20% of the teens are going to get in a crash your first full year of being a licensed driver. Is that too many? That's way too many, isn't it? Now, it's not going to be you. I hope none of you have already been. You're already driving, right? Quasi? Yeah? Not really? Kind of? Tell me when. So I'll stay in. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. All right, go ahead and have a seat. We're hoping that you guys are not going to be, obviously, but that none of you would stand up at the end of a year say, you know what, we weren't. Because we started early with the education. We're hoping that's the case. Now go to your books, if you will. Let me give you the 3 reasons why there's such a problem. These are the 3 reasons. On page number 3, I want you to write these down. The first one is inexperience. Inexperience. Kids, that's why. And here's the good news about inexperience. Most people think, what's so good about inexperience? Well, here it is. You'll never have any more of it. Every time you get behind the wheel, it adds to experience. Every time. That's the only good thing about inexperience. You never get any more of it. Number 2 reason, distractions. And we will talk about those. And the 3rd reason, impaired driving. Now this isn't my numbers. These aren't mine. We'll talk about impaired driving, but something that you might not really think about. Let's first look at the inexperience. We're talking about speed, distance, vehicle performance, road awareness, being used to those. What about speed? How many of you can tell me what's the distance that you can stop a vehicle moving at 20 miles an hour? Anybody know? And this is on the average. Obviously it depends on the road and the weather and everything else, but on the average, how long does it take to stop a moving vehicle going 20 miles an hour? 15 to 17 feet. Where you guys, there you go, right on. What about 40 miles an hour? Try 35 feet. Think of what's happening here. Okay, 20, then 30. Now what about 60 miles an hour? 6 car lengths? I don't know if that's about 145 feet. If it is, then you're right on. 145 feet. It's exponential. You know why? Because of inertia and momentum. It doesn't make any difference. It's the mass going, you're going down the road. That's what it takes to stop. So you don't have that experience. You will after a period of time. Now, here's the one I want to ask parents about. What about the vehicle performance? How many of you have more than 1 car in the house? How many cars should your teen be driving while they're learning? 1. 1 only. Kids, here's your first reason why you're going to hate Uncle Jim. It's this. If you go to mom or dad and ask for the keys at prom time or homecoming because their car is nicer and newer and it's great, guess what? Parents, what should you say? You'll put them in harm's way. Putting them in a vehicle that they're not used to on a very emotional night. So let them drive what they drive. Whatever if it is your car, fine, not a problem. But don't put them in a different car until they've learned how to master that car. Yes, you want them to learn as many as you can. I'd like for my kids to learn in a standard transmission, a manual transmission. But they will eventually. But right now they're learning in an automatic. In the old days it was manual first because that's all we had. Now it's automatic, but they're going to learn in a manual transmission. Okay, so here, what about this one? What about distractions? We talked about phone, but how many of you, being honest, would say, yeah, I drink coffee or Cokes, or I do eat a burger once in a while I'm driving, and it happens. It's crazy, isn't it? You don't think about what can happen, but things do happen. They do happen. The other day I threw a tater tot from Sonic. Do you have Sonic drive-ins here? Ooh, I love Sonic drive-in. Man, they're tater tots, deep fried tater tots. Oh my gosh. I threw one in my mouth and it was so hot. And I was driving and I was crazy. What was I doing? What was I thinking? I didn't know what to do. That'll happen. What about passengers and pets? Anybody see people with don't laugh, don't tell me you do it. Don't tell me if you do, okay, don't tell me if you do, but have you ever seen it? Driving with a little dog in the lap? Can you believe that? What would happen if the airbag went off? Little Fifi becomes Spot just like that. That's awful, man. But what about the music? I'm not talking about the music, but what about fiddling with the radio and stuff? And then you have other cars. This is the one I like. Scenery. What's scenery to you? I'm looking at it. I got a good seat in the house. Yeah, right? See what I'm saying? I know what it is. What's scenery to you guys? I know what it is. I had a daughter. She's now 43. I know what it is. It's me, isn't it? I can tell. You give me those eyes. No, man, I got that stomach going out there. It's hard to keep it in. What's scenery to when we get our age, what's scenery to us? It's the same thing, man. Come on, right? The only thing is, I had one guy say, it's the same thing. I only wish I had better eyes because it's like I can't see. So all those things, and then here it is, guys, impaired driving. Now I know you're not going to like me when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Let me see the hands. How many teens in here get to bed after midnight every night? Let me see. Oh, one person's being honest. 2, 3. I know. You sleep like a koala. That's good for you. You know what? Let me say this about those of you that don't get to bed before midnight. You shouldn't get the keys to the car. And I'll tell you why. Not because of me, but the Sleep Center did a study and said that if you go to bed at 10:30 at night and you're asleep and you wake up at 2 in the morning, 2 in the morning, that's it. That's only 3.5 hours sleep. You are better rested than if you go to bed at 1 and wake up at noon. That would be 11 hours. Your responses, your reflexes are much better. When you go, it's the hours before midnight that count more than the hours after midnight. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? Sorry, but that's just the way that it is. My son challenged me on this, by the way. Here he is, Mr. 15-year-old, know-it-all. Dad, I disagree with that. My reflexes are great. No, I said, okay, let's try them. I said, take your phone if you will. All I want you to do is text, don't text and drive. And let's see how fast your reflexes are. I handed him his phone. The first time he looked down, I slapped him on the head twice. So where are your reflexes, buddy? Oh, are they better? Is that right? He said, well, that wasn't fair. I didn't know you were going to do that. Well, do you think somebody's going to say, hey, I'm going to pull out in front of you while you're out there? No. Your reflexes aren't there. He said, you want to try it again? He says, I don't think so. It's true, though. It's absolutely true. You've got to get to bed before midnight. So parents, don't hand those keys over. Just do not hand them over. And then, you know what I'm saying? Most people say, golly, but you know what? How many accidents are actually crashes or are involved that are sleep-deprived individuals? Hey, you know what? Some of us adults have driven and we yawn and we're thinking, oh man, what would happen? Driving long distances. You never know what can happen. You never know. I want to just first of all say thank you to the parents. Seriously. And I think that the kids should just look over to the parents that brought you here and say, thank you for being involved in my driving. And I know it's crazy, but do that first of all. Go ahead and say that right now. Go ahead. Turn to your parents, whoever's here, and say that. Thank you for being involved in my driving. And let me tell you why you need to say that. And I'll tell you why you need to say it. Because Dad's involved. Dad? Uncle, friend, who? Grandpa. Holy cow. You know, all that I had this kid, Grandpa, but be glad Grandpa's involved. You know why? Because you won't be one of those statistics up on the board if he is. I can prove it to you. I can prove it to you. Just be glad that somebody cares enough that they're involved. Way too many people have just dropped off and handed the keys and said, good, I don't need to drive you anymore. You know what? That's not the way it is. We love you and we care about you. That's why we're here. You may not want to come today because every time I do a class, I get kids that are here like, oh, great. Sometimes I get kids that never come around, don't care at all. But let me tell you something. Your parents love you. Your grandparents love you. We had somebody in here who was a grandma too, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Well, I'm a grandpa. I have my oldest grandson is 22 years old. I didn't think about that, but see, I think I'm real young. Until I look in the mirror and realize just forget it. Especially when that stomach starts to go out. It's like, my wife tells me I have a furniture disease. I said, what are you talking about? She says, that's when your chest dropped into your drawers. I'm like, thank you very much, I appreciate that. So I gotta try to keep that in. They're doing video and I'm trying to keep my stomach in because when you see yourself, it's like, but now I got this, I'm picking up my pants like an old man all the time, forget it. So we're just glad that you're involved. Everybody turn to your book where it says P equals R, but doesn't necessarily equal T. That's a formula. The formula is a defensive driving formula. Now if I were to say the P stands for perception, a person's perception is equal to their what? It starts with an R. I heard it out there, it's their reality. A person's perception is their reality. What they see, they believe. Whether or not it's based on truth, it doesn't make any difference. Well, how does this relate to driving? Let me show you. I'm going to show you a video called Realities of the Road. It's very short. It's about a young man that got out of defensive driving and he's at an intersection and he's talking to himself. He's thinking, is everybody paying attention? Let's watch and I'll tell you what this has to do with defensive driving. Let's watch.
Okay, focus. First solo trip. No pressure. Okay, busy intersection. Don't make any assumptions and see if everyone else is paying attention.
I can't be late again. God, I'll be fired if I'm late again.
4 across, 8-letter word for lacking education or knowledge. Man, the Friday puzzles are tough.
I've had it. These kids are driving me crazy. Just wait until you have kids of your own.
Oh God. I should have gotten something to drink. I'm gonna wet my choke. I can't breathe. Oh. Whew. That's better. Yeah, I asked for extra onions on this. Oh, they left off all the onions.
Blah, blah, blah. This guy's so full of it. I'll be talking to his competitor in 5 minutes.
I could take that car, and that one, and that one.
He actually thinks he can get away with that. Men are pigs. I hate them all of them.
4 cups of sugar, pinch of paprika, stick of butter, 2 tablespoons baking powder.
Alright, everyone else is focused. Everyone knows what they're doing.
Now watch what he does. He goes out in the intersection, the first one in the intersection. And the last thing he said was, oh, I guess everybody's paying attention. They don't know what they're doing. Were they paying attention? To what they were doing, yeah, but not to the road and to what's happening around them. The guy that kills me is the guy that says, I can take that one, and I can he's driving a minivan. Can you believe that? But here he is, right? Yeah, you look at it, it's obvious. The guy eating the burger obviously is not paying attention. You drove over here today next to other people on the roads, did you not? Some of them are obvious they weren't paying attention because they were looking at their phone or something else, reading the paper, a book, or whatever it might be. Others were not. In fact, here's what we're saying. How does this relate? The driver next to you may look like they're paying attention, but everybody said what? We don't know. You don't know unless you're in their head, you don't know. The driver next to you may look like they're sober or under the influence, but are they? We don't know. They could be a functioning alcoholic, and you don't know that. They look like they're sober, but their reaction time is nothing. They can't react. So they're not safe to be around. Here's the one that really gets me. The driver next to you may look like they're in a good frame of mind, but are they? They may have had a fight with their mother, their dad, their aunt, their uncle, their boyfriend, girlfriend, or just a friend, and they're emotionally distraught. How many of us would say, yes, when I'm emotional, I drive differently? I drive more aggressively when I'm emotional. I get upset. I've been a biker all my life, 15 years old till now. I've always ridden motorcycles. And my stable is full of motorcycles. I love them. I love the vibration. But I used to get upset and I'd get on my bike and I would ride it hard and fast until I realized, what am I doing? I gotta pay for it if something happens. This is nuts. It's kind of like the idiot that puts his hand through a door and then realizes, what did I just do that? I just gotta pay 50 bucks now to replace the door. That's dumb. You know what? When it's driving, you're emotional, you drive differently. And we don't know that. What we're saying is this. Everybody say it with me. Read it out loud if you will.
What you see in other drivers isn't necessarily what you get.
It isn't, is it? You don't know. In fact, I'm not trying to make you paranoid. That's not what I'm trying to make you. Paranoia is a hard thing. Having an unhealthy paranoia means that you're at the kitchen table and mom's feeding you, you think she's trying to poison you. That's an unhealthy paranoia. But what we're saying is this. Defensive driving begins with a healthy paranoia. A healthy paranoia. What is that healthy paranoia? Being ready for anything. If I said I had something I was going to throw into the audience, I'm going to throw this into the audience. I want you to catch it. I don't care if it drops and breaks, it's all right. But I want you to catch it. I want you to be ready for it. Are you ready? Because here it goes. You moved. I didn't throw it. Right? But you moved. You had a healthy paranoia for that. And so did you, Mom. And so did you right in front, right? She's like saying, oh man, it could slip. It could really fall. That's having a healthy paranoia. And that's being ready for anything. Now, let's talk about your vehicle real quick. Because all safety begins with something on your vehicle that most people don't even give consideration. It's called contact patch or tire patch. That's the amount of tire that's actually touching the ground. Have you ever heard that saying, where the rubber meets the road? That's where it comes from. That's the amount of rubber that's touching the road or the floor or whatever. The middle is that's a properly inflated tire. The right-hand side is an overly inflated tire. The left-hand side is an underinflated tire. You notice how you lose contact patch. If you don't have contact patch, you don't have control. You lose control, you don't have anything, right? So let's ask this question. How much contact patch do you think there is if you were to combine all 4 tires of this Camry here, right? And that Camry has a pretty small contact patch, but how much square footage do you think that takes up with all 4 tires in park? It's not even moving. Is it 0.3 square feet, 1.3 square feet, 3.1 square feet, or 4 square feet?
1.3.
It's 1.3 square feet for all 4 tires. That's 1.3. Write that in your books. You know what that looks like in real life? It's like 4 of your books. That's it. That is it. Now, you tell me, look at your book and then look at your foot. How many of you have a foot that's almost as big or takes as much area as the book? Some of you have smaller tires than others, but there's a lot of, look at mine, I wear an 11.5, man. That's more than your book if you were to combine it. I have twice the amount, I have half the amount of a car that weighs 2,500 pounds to 5,000 pounds, and I weigh what? 185? Come on, say yes. So I weigh 240, and I have almost as much contact patch as a car does. Isn't that crazy? But here's the worst part. If you speed, remember the #1 error, and you turn. If you're speeding and turning, you're losing contact patch. An 8-degree turn, it's in your book, an 8-degree turn is like an on-ramp or an off-ramp, or it's changing lanes. If you're going very fast, you could lose 75% of your contact patch. Now I'm going to say this to you like I would to my own 15-year-old. If you speed and you turn and you lose 75% of your contact patch, the only thing that's separating you from eternity is 0.3 square feet. That's it. Now some of you are going, whoop-de-doo, so what? Who cares? I'll show you. Stand up. I'm going to show you what that does. Go ahead and stand up. Put your books on your chairs. I want you to partner with somebody side to side. Shoulder to shoulder facing me. Face me, shoulder to shoulder. And you decide who's going to be the vehicle and who's going to be the force of nature. Okay? One of you is going to be the vehicle. One of you is the force of nature. You decide. All right? I want the vehicles to be firmly planted. You're in park. Firmly planted. You're not going anywhere. Your contact patch is the maximum here. The force of nature, I want the force of nature to go ahead and try to push that person over from the side. Now be careful because you might be able to, but I want the car to resist. Resist all you can. Are you ready? Go. It's a little tough, isn't it? Because they're resisting you. They're planted. Now let's simulate high speed and turning. So cars, are you ready? You're speeding and turning, so get up on your tiptoes. Go ahead, force of nature, try it now. Look how much easier. Well, it could kill Mom right here. She's go flying, right? Mom, this is crazy. You see that? Now, the other person, try it. The person that was a force of nature, I want you to be there. You be the car. Are you ready, cars? Get up on your tiptoes. Go ahead, force of nature, push them over. Yes, try it. You're on your tiptoes. Look how easy. That's what happens. You see, go ahead and have a seat. You see what I'm saying? When we run on the balls of our feet, right? Well, we lessen our contact patch. If we fall, will it hurt? Yeah, the older you are, the more it hurts. It just happens that way. My little one, oh, you fall over. It's like, it's okay, get back up, you're okay. If I fall down, it's like, oh, you better call the ambulance because I don't know if I broke something or not. It's crazy. But the fact is that it's dangerous. And that's what, hey, you tell me, is a small car safer than a large car? Or a large car safer than a small car? When I was young, my dad thought that a large one was safer. A larger, more metal around you was safer. In fact, my first car, be glad that you're not in our family, my first car was a panel van, a rainbow bread truck. I spent $150 for the truck and about $1.50 for a spray can so I could get rainbow bread off the side of it. I swear to you. My dad thought it was the safest thing in the world because it's huge and one seat. I couldn't take anybody with me. That he thought, right? Who needs seats, right? Back when I was a kid. Well, the fact is let me give you the answer. Are you ready for this? It might surprise you. The one with the safest driver behind the wheel. Doesn't make any difference what size today. Small car, large car, they've all got great ratings. It's the one with the safest driver behind the wheel. I had a lady in Phoenix, Arizona that was so proud because she bought her son a Volvo. This was about 7 or 8 years ago where they were rated #1 in safety. And I thought, she was so glad. I went to the teen class that they were teaching and I saw him and I thought, oh, she still has a problem. Because he's not ready at all. It's going to be the safest car in the world, but if you don't know what you're doing behind the wheel, you still got a problem. Major problem. You know, because it doesn't make any difference. You go fast and what can happen? You can tip over. It's real easy. It won't tip over normally because of the stability control that we have now, but you hit something in the road at high speed, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And there's all kinds of safety systems, and I will say this. This is the closest I ever get to selling anything, but I'm really proud because Toyota is the #1 manufacturer, full-line manufacturer that started putting all of these features, these are all safety features, into every one of their production vehicles. And then all the other manufacturers followed suit. They had to. It's competitive. In your books describes these safety features and what they do, their animations. I'll show you the YouTube video I pulled this off of. I just downloaded it off of YouTube. Let me show it to you.
VSC helps prevent slips and loss of traction by reducing engine power and applying the brake force to the wheels that need it. Track helps maintain traction on wet, icy, loose, or uneven surfaces by applying brake force to the spinning wheel or wheels. ABS helps prevent brakes from locking up by pulsing brake pressure to each wheel to help you stay in control in emergency braking situations. EBD redistributes brake force to help keep the rear wheels from locking up during sudden braking situations. Brake Assist detects sudden or panic braking and adds the full pressure needed to help prevent a collision. Smart Stop technology automatically reduces engine power when both brake and accelerator pedals are pressed at the same time under certain circumstances, helping to bring the vehicle to a stop. Toyota is the first full-line manufacturer to make the features of the Star Safety System standard on all vehicles. Together, the steps we're taking help keep you out of harm's way, because we realize there is nothing more important to you than your safety.
So you see, there's a lot of safety features. We started doing that in 2012, actually latter part of 2012. And now every manufacturer, so everything you buy today, if you were to buy something new, would have every one of these features in it. And more, in 2015, it's going to be required that you have a backup camera in every car. So more and more features the federal government says have to be on a vehicle for safety. So we're trying. They're trying to make it a safer world. However, it doesn't make any difference, does it, how much is on that vehicle? Because we know the #1 safety feature is you. You are. And that's the problem, is that we're not giving enough education. They've taken driver's ed out of the schools. And you know, they put it in the private hands, and now you got to pay for it to go. I paid to have my son go to driver's ed. They had him on the freeway the second day. Are you kidding me? They put him in a manual car, and instead of teaching him in a parking lot with a manual car, they put him on a freeway in a manual vehicle. I'm telling you, it's crazy. But I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it that way. I took my son's car and I painted with shoe polish, new driver, on the side and the front. I took a picture of him. He's like, thanks, Dad. But you know what? People respected that. They gave him space. It was like seeing a sign, you know, student driver. And my kid was embarrassed, but he was glad for it because they did give him the space for that. And we kept it on there for a period of time. It was my wife's idea. My wife came from Europe. She's not afraid of anything, man. She'll put it on there. She says, you don't like it, then don't drive. It's just the way it is. Now, when it comes to that, let me give you some defensive driving best practices. They've been around since we got our licenses. They're in your books. The first one that says eyes up, visualize ahead. How far should you look ahead? Anybody know? Write this down. As far as you can see. As far as you can see. Why? Because we're going faster now than we've ever gone before. 2 cars ahead is not nearly enough. Not nearly enough. In fact, I ask parents all this all the time. How many of you parents have gone through a neighborhood and 7 or 8 houses up, there's kids playing in the yard out front with a rubber ball? The closer you get to the house, the closer the ball gets to the road or the street. You're right in front of the house, and where's the ball? Right in the street. Kids, it's called the magnetic law of attraction. It has nothing to do with male and female. It has to do with rubber balls and bumpers. Because following a rubber ball is a what? Is a kid or a child coming right out after them. That's called experience. The next one, we say be aware of your surroundings. Are you on a freeway? Are you in a parking lot? In a parking lot, what do you watch out for? Other cars backing up. But guess what? They have to back up. They don't have a choice. And they can't see. So they're going to sneak out. So what should we do when we see a car sneak out? Stop and let them come out. I'm glad you said that, but every time I've been in a parking lot around here and I'm sneaking out, what do people do? They honk and go around you. I'm like, come on, where's courtesy here? No. You know, neighborhoods are the most dangerous place. Most accidents occur within 1.5 miles of the place of residence. Isn't that wild? It's crazy. What about this one? Look out for everything, like we told you before. Have you ever seen anybody holding stuff on the top of a car? It's not tied down. A piece of plywood from Home Depot. It's flopping like a sail. Right? Or a mattress or something like that. Go figure, right? It's nuts, man. It's crazy. Look out for everything. And create room to move. Don't drive in the left lane because you have a concrete barrier on your left side. Drive in the center lane because you have 2 lanes to move to, left or right, if people will let you. Or drive in the right lane if you have a shoulder, because that's the safer place to drive. I had people yesterday drove me crazy. I'll just drive. I drive the speed limit. I'm sorry. I've been stopped enough times. I drive the speed limit. And people don't. And they tailgate you. They're this close to you that if for any reason anything were to come out in front of me, if I slammed on my brakes, they're going to crash in the back of me. So I just kind of move over and let them go. And they get mad. And I'm going, hey, the speed limit's 65. You're going 85. And you expect me to keep it up? Why? So I can get the ticket? You go. Be dumb. I don't care. I'm going to drive safe. When I ride my bike, I am so tense when I'm in traffic anymore. I get home, it's not even fun anymore. It's not fun because you're afraid of people because of the stupidity that goes on. They just don't watch. They don't respect anything. I'm naked on there. I don't mean literally, but oh, that'd be a sight, wouldn't it? On my bike, that'd be crazy. But here's the next one. Be predictable. If you're going to turn, use your what? If you have your signals on, then turn. Don't be like my dad, who's 87 and keeps his signal on the whole time. I'm like, Dad, turn it off. And he has a beep that beeps at him to let him know that it's on. Well, he can't hear that frequency anymore. So he just lets it go. It's crazy. We're going to talk about distractions here in a little bit, which is avoid distractions. We're going to talk about seatbelts when we get over to the simulator. We already said don't drive impaired or sleep deprived and have a healthy paranoia. Those are your best practices. Now, let's do something before we go over to the simulator, because we're going to start getting into distractions. Then we're going to come over here and you're going to learn. Somebody's going to give us an example, but we're going to learn about in-car safety. Now, I'm showing you this video for a reason. Those teens that are in here that are very creative, how many of you teens think you're really creative? I think you all are. I think kids are born creative and we beat that creativity out of them or we push it out of them. All of you can do this. These kids, there are 2 teens that developed this video. They made this video. 2 years ago, they won the contest that Toyota has every year. It's already open, and here in October it's going to open. Get on TeenDrive365 and enter it. You could win $15,000 scholarship for that. Here's what these kids did 2 years ago. Watch their video.
Hello, this is Philip. I'm fine. The report, it's on your desk, sir. I put it there this morning, actually. Is that a typewriter, sir? Why would it be a An automobile? Sir,
automobile, why would I be on the telephone? I mean, come on. Come on, come on.
Dude, how did you not see that person?
Bro, I was just sending a text, man.
That can wait. You almost hit somebody.
Bro, look how hot she is, though, man.
Give me the phone. Don't be. Just give me the phone.
Come here, look.
That's what you kids look like when we ask you to turn your phones over. And that was done by teenagers, by those two guys. How'd you like the tagline? Just no texting, no talking on the phone at all. Parents, that goes for us too when we're driving with our kids. Why is that? Because they want to be part of the conversation, especially if it's their friends. My son, does that happen to you? Do you have a tone that goes off when you get a text? My son has this bing or something like that goes off when he gets a text. I make my kids put their phones and their iPads in a box at night. And they're in the box, and every time you hear a ping, my son's like, who's texting me? I wonder who's texting me. I won't let him check. I'm going to lock the box. I'm not going to let him check because you know what? We need to be without our electronics. Now, we're going to talk about distractions, and we don't want to overdo it, but I want to say there are 4 major ones. In your book, they're all there. The first one is a cognitive distraction. That means you look but you don't see. That's about daydreaming, worry, lost in thought. How many of you drivers that have been driving for a period of time would be honest and say, yeah, sometimes I like, how did I get here? 3 or 4 seconds went by and you don't even realize what happened to it. A lot can happen in that, can't it? In fact, I want you to do something for me right now. I'm going to risk it, because here's what we're going to do. I want you all to cover your eyes. When I say cover, cover them. When I say open them, I want you to close them, just cover them. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3, cover. Okay, open. You just traveled the distance of a football field going 65 miles an hour. And that's how long it takes. Boom, something could happen that quick. And how many times do we take our eyes off the road that long, that period of time? Looking for something. A young lady was reaching for a pack of gum and lost control of the vehicle. Stuff can happen that fast. I've seen some areas up here, and even in the New York area, where there's deer. They say, man, you know you're getting out in the country when you see there's deer, right? I used to think that in New Mexico, I'm going through the mountains and it says, watch out for falling rocks. That's off the mountain. I used to think that was an Indian named Falling Rocks and he was going to run out in the middle of the road. That's what they used to tell me. But the fact is that you'll see all kinds of stuff. What about this one? Visual distractions. That's looking away. Now, believe me, I think it's crazy as can be. It's all about marketing, right? You see these at the top? They're turning, they're visual distractions. Hopefully you're looking at me. The fact is we see billboards. How many of you have seen an LED billboard real bright? They scare you at night. Man, they're so bright. Anybody been to Albuquerque? That's where I'm from, and there's a road in Albuquerque called Paseo del Norte. It connects the east with the west. And there's an LED billboard, and it flashes and changes colors. And there's a big yellow one with red letters that it came to. You know what the message was on it? Don't drive distracted. It was the biggest distraction I'd ever seen. It scared you. We had to petition the city to take it down. What about the manual distractions? Taking your hand off the steering wheel for any reason whatsoever. It doesn't matter, adjusting the seats or anything else, thinking, well, I had to do it. No, you do it before you leave. Or fixing the mirrors. Then the auditory distractions. Oh, here's another reason why you kids are not going to like me. You know what the good thing about me is? I'm not going home with you. That's the good thing about me. I'm kind of like the sand in your bathing suit. I'm going to rub you so raw, but you're going to move, right? My mom used to call me a hemorrhoid. She says, you always flirt up at the wrong times. Well, let me tell you something here. Kids, you're not the only ones that shouldn't be on a phone in a car when you're driving. Nobody, and that goes for us parents, should be on a phone while they're driving. Because they want to be a part of the conversation. They want to be a part of it, into it. And so nobody should, even texting, nobody should be on a phone texting. They hear, my 15-year-old does it. They hear a ping coming from, ping! Who texted me? Dad, can I look? Can I look? I said, just forget about it. What happened when we didn't have them? If they want you bad enough, they'll get a hold of you. Don't worry about it. It's crazy. So you have all those 4. But you know what, guys? Here's the deadly combination. It's that mobile device. It's the phone we're talking about or iPad. Because here's what happens. It rings or vibrates to notify you, it becomes auditory. You reach to pick it up to see who's done it, it becomes what? A manual. You look to see who's done it, it becomes visual, and then all of a sudden you're involved in the conversation, it becomes cognitive. Now every one of us in here, and here's what I'm about to tell you, every one of us, at one point in our life or not, has said it or will say it. And that saying is, it won't happen to me. It won't happen. When you kids leave and your parents tell you, have fun, be careful, right? I know what goes through teens' minds. I was one. I used to tell my parents, don't worry. Trust me. We trust you. We just don't trust everybody else. And the fact is that, you know what? You've got to be careful. Don't ever say it won't happen to me. I'm about to show you a video called The Last Text, and it's a very short video, but it's got a parent and it's got some kids that are involved in it that said the same thing, it won't happen to me. Until it did. And now they're there telling us this is what happened. I'm not doing this to make you upset or to make you be sad. I'm doing this to wake you up. You see, we make decisions emotionally and we justify them with logic. Let me show you an emotional video so that we can logically look at what can we do to avoid this happening to us.
The day before graduation, my daughter drove to go meet a boy, and she never made it.
He was texting her to tell her directions of where she needed to go. And I guess she just looked away for too long.
Today, she would have been 19 years old, exactly.
I was on my way home. I had my girlfriend in the car, and I'm just reading a text message, responding. And the next second I look up and I see a bicyclist crashing the windshield.
This is my sister. She was looking at my message that I had just sent her. When she looked up, her truck flipped. She was actually ejected through the driver's side door, and she landed in the ditch. People will tell you over and over again, it's not your fault. But knowing that you were the person that she was talking to when she was killed, if I could talk to her one last time, I would just say, I'm sorry.
It's a simple text message. Where are you at? 3 simple words.
I said one stupid, meaningless text and killed a man.
4 little letters. That's what killed her.
Now, again, I'm not trying to make you all mellow and upset about that, but the fact is this is some people that said the same thing. It won't happen to me, but it did. The sad part is if that happens to you, it's just like the young man that hit the bicyclist. He has to live with that the rest of his life. It's a decision that he's just going to have to live with. Now, with that, I'm going to say this. There is some way out. We're not going to open up a wound and then not heal it. Here's something you can do about it. It's in your book. We call them the ABCs. That's because it's very simple to do. It's like a 3-step program. We'll stand up in front of it. The first step is to acknowledge. First step is to acknowledge that you're easily distracted people. It's like standing up here and saying, yes, hi, my name is Jim Million, and I'm a distracted driver. It's true though. How many of you would raise your right hand to say, yeah, you're right, I'm a distracted person as well? How many of you are distracted? If you didn't raise your hand, guess what? You're lying. Because every one of us is distracted. This world is made up of good marketers that are designed to do that, to distract us. And that's okay for some things, but when it comes to driving, you need to keep focused because you need to be ready for what? Anything. What do you have to have? A healthy what? Everybody say it. A healthy what? A healthy paranoia. An unhealthy paranoia is when you're sitting at the table and you think mom's trying to poison you. That's an unhealthy paranoia. A healthy paranoia is being ready for anything. The second step is to be aware of your particular distraction. Now, we put that in the book for you too. We have some conversation starters when you get home. What's your biggest distraction? How many of you would say right now, just thinking about it, that your phone is probably your biggest distraction? Let me see your hands. I understand. My phone's not for me anymore because I did something about it. I have something called an Origo, and I put it in, I just sold my car, I'm going to have to put it in my new car. But I put it in the car, it's almost like a breathalyzer, only you have to dock the phone before you can start the car. You dock the phone, and if you pull the phone out while you're driving, the car keeps going, it keeps going, but once you turn it off, you can't start it again until you punch in a code. So when I loan my car to somebody, like my wife, and she drives it, and she has to call me for a code, what did she do? She pulled her phone out of the cradle to use it. You have to pull over to the side of the road, put it in park, and pull the emergency brake to pull the phone out of that cradle so it doesn't lock you out starting it again. That's just a way to help me become accountable. So my phone isn't my biggest distraction, my kids are. When my little one was born, he was the biggest distraction. I want to see how cute he was. Oh, look at him. And I even put the mirror in there to watch him because I was paranoid, because he's facing backwards. And now he's 9 years old, and he's my biggest distraction because he's fighting with his 15-year-old brother next to him. So the key is this: acknowledge, be aware, and then finally create a plan to eliminate the distraction. Very simple. My kids were my biggest distraction, so what do? So you eliminate them. That's all you do. How do I eliminate them? All I do is make my 15-year-old sit in the second seat, my 9-year-old sits in the third seat. 15-year-old's helping with the baby anyway. Got to put that mute button in, right? Got that pacifier, you got to work with it. Well, that's what you do. Well, it doesn't matter what your distraction is, you've got to come up with a plan to eliminate it. That's the key. If you don't, we've even given you some tools in here. There's a tool right here, it's in the back of your book. Everybody go to the back of your book. There's 2 of them. You can cut them out of your book. It won't affect your book one bit. You can put it behind the visor. That's kind of a checklist for you to do before you take off. How many of you fly for a living, or you're on a plane quite a bit? Anybody in here? If you get on a plane, you want to make sure the pilot's going through a checklist before you take off, don't you? If you knew they weren't going through checklists, you'd think twice about getting on that plane. It's the same thing behind the wheel of a car. There's certain things you need to do. So we would give it to you. We're going to give it to you. And there are some things. We got all kinds of tools. Okay, pick up your keypad. Let's find out how much you know now about what we just taught you. Your keypad before we go over to the simulator. Are you ready? Here's the first question. Teens' greatest enemies are inexperienced, impaired driving, and what? Is it speed, distractions, parents, government, or other teens? You got 10 seconds. 18 of you have already answered. You're doing very well. 26, 27. We might hit 33 before we got to 30, okay? 77% of you were correct, absolutely correct. E, you know what? You're still right. Other teens are a big distraction too. All right, second question. Here you go. Which of the following is not one of the universal truths? Avoid distractions, always avoid intersections, always use seatbelts, or always have a healthy paranoia. Here we go. We have 9 seconds. That might be a little tricky one, but that's all right. All of them are very important, except the one that is obvious is, there you go, you got it. Always avoid intersections. Very good. Now, whoever answered D, you're going to have to stay for the next session because that's an easy one. All right? Here's the next question. What does not affect the size of the contact patch? Speed, low pressure, center of gravity, or weight of the vehicle? That might be a tough one for some of you. You've got to think about physics now. Is it speed, low pressure, center of gravity, or weight of the vehicle? All right, here's what you said. Oh, you know what? Weight of the vehicle does affect the contact patch, doesn't it? The more weight you have in it, the more pressure there is on the tire, so the more tire is going to be pushed onto the road. The answer is actually center of gravity. It doesn't affect it. It will affect it once it happens, but it doesn't affect how much you have at the moment. All right, next question. Which of the following are not part of the defensive driving best practices? Is it eyes up, visualize ahead, be aware of your surroundings, look out for everything, create room to move, be predictable, make sure your seat and mirrors are adjusted properly? Now, they're all very important, but one of them was not part of the list that we gave you. All right, here's what you said. You are absolutely correct. 56% of you got that right. It's very important, but it's not part of that itself. Last question. Which of the following is not one of the 4 types of distractions? Cognitive, visual, perceptual, manual, or auditory? You now only have 7 seconds left. There's only one of them that's not part of the 4 major types of distractions. Let's see, and you did get that right. There you go. 76% of you said perceptual. Very good, you did good. Give yourself a big hand for a good session. Good job, a big hand. Now, we're gonna step over to the simulator, so I want you to bring your books and a pen. And here's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna be able to use a mic because I'm gonna be holding a camera, but I'm gonna get somebody in the vehicle, and I want all of you standing around here. As long as you can see one of these screens, you're okay. If you need to be able to see one of these monitors. All right, where's my girl? Come on up here, if you will, Sleepy. I told you I was going to use you, right? All right. That's going to be your nickname, Sleepy. You're one of the dwarfs. Are you ready for this? Oh, just go ahead and get in, and let's talk about in-car safety. I'm going to leave it open for a while. Now, I know that there's a key in there, and I know that there's a beep going on, and it's going to happen for a while. Let me grab this camera. It's all the way in here. I'm going to pull this over, and I'm going to use this camera here. I'm not getting fresh with you, all right? The reason why I'm using the camera is because I want you to see things in the car, and you can't see her feet. The first thing we need to do is move our seat, position the seat, so that it's close enough to the what? To the pedals. So if you have to brake, a harsh brake, and you really hit hard, so you're not laying down in the seat. So what's a good way to tell what the proper distance is to the brake pedal or to the pedals itself? What's a good way to determine that? Can somebody tell me? I'll tell you how to do that. Do me a favor, if you will. Put your right foot, not on the brake, but on the floorboard, which is behind the brake. If she can touch the floorboard, you see that? You probably need to be a little bit closer. So this is electronic seat, so about right, maybe a little closer, right there. Now, go ahead and put your foot on the brake. Can you see it on the video? Now she has her foot on the brake and she has a slight bend in her knee. Proper position for seat to pedals. Some vehicles have those adjusters that you can move your pedals. Okay, some SUVs and some trucks have those. So the next thing is make sure, if you need to be, okay, so you'll move your seat close enough. Next thing is what? What do you think comes next?
Mirrors.
Position to steering wheel, because that still has something to do with the seat. So here's proper positioning for your steering wheel. Anybody have a clue as to how you might want to do that? Because you got to have a slight bend. So what would you do?
Tilting the seat.
Say what?
Tilting the seat.
Yeah, that's one way to get the proper position, but how do you know what the proper position is?
Your posture.
Everybody says, yeah, you want to have a slight bend, but you can have a slight bend and still be too far away. Here's how you do it. I want everybody to use your book as if it's the steering wheel, and I want you to take your right hand, and you're going to take your right hand and extend it over the top of the steering wheel. Over the top of the steering wheel. Wake up. Over the top, just like that. There you go. Well, not too far. Honey. Get back in your seat. If you're back in your seat and you can reach the steering wheel and you have the brake in your wrist right there, that's a proper distance. Got it? So that when you put your hands in the proper place on the steering wheel, you're close enough to it to be able to manipulate that steering wheel. You may have to move the steering wheel closer or move the seat forward, the back of the seat. Now, go ahead and grab the steering wheel in the proper position. That's okay, however you would. Grab it the way you would. Okay, notice how she's holding it. Okay? What is the proper hand position for hands on the steering wheel?
10 and 2.
Go ahead and put them on 10 and 2. That used to be. 10 and 2 used to be the proper position. But it's not anymore. You know why? Airbags. If an airbag deploys and your hands are at 10 and 2, the airbag could send your hand right into the window, or in some cases right into your face. Okay? You don't want that to happen, do you? So the proper position, and that's why manufacturers put controls on the steering wheels at where? 9 and 3. So put your hands at 9 and 3. Right here, and down here. So that you can use your thumbs for the controls on the steering wheel. But you should put your thumb over that right there, and there you go. That's the proper position. It's 9 and 3. The right one should be up just a bit. There you go. That's the proper position. Got it? And I know we were taught 10 and 2. Some people, even in movies, I've heard them tell them, put your hands at 10 and 2. It's 9 and 3. Okay? Now, there's seat position and steering wheel. What comes next? Seat belt. Seat belt. Go ahead and put your seat belt on, hon. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this here so that we can see you. That's all right. You're a movie star now. She's got her seat belt on in the proper position. Oops, did it move? It fell over, didn't it? Sorry, guys. Maybe put my foot forward here. There we go. Now watch this. You see where my hand is in here? I can move this up or down. That's if she's very short. I can drop it all the way down. She's not short, she's average height. But if she's real tall, you need to raise it up because you don't want it either rubbing against your neck or falling off your shoulder. She'd be good in any position, but that's probably the proper position there. But do me a favor, put your seatbelt on the way you're not supposed to wear it. There are two ways that people do. She put it behind her just like that. A lot of people do that so that their shirt doesn't get all messed up, right? Now, will that work? No. In fact, that's probably worse for you. You know why? Exactly what happens. The airbag deploys, her head goes forward, head trauma. Right into the airbag at too fast of a rate. So you don't also, do me a favor, just bring it back forward in front of you and put her under your left arm. Because a lot of people will do that too. Because it's uncomfortable. Wrong position. There goes your ribs. Crush it right into your heart. It's not right. Wear it the way it's supposed to be worn. And if you notice airbag positions on all of our vehicles, it says SRS. Anytime there's an airbag. What does that mean? Anybody know?
It says restraint system.
It stands for supplemental restraint system. Absolutely, Dad. Not safety restraint system. Supplemental means in addition to. Airbag in addition to seatbelt is your safety system. Got it? All right, good job. Now go ahead and put it on right. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to shut the door because we're going to talk about the last thing, which is mirrors. So watch your leg, okay? All right, let's talk about mirrors. You know how to adjust the rear view mirror, right? Where should you see? Where should you see through the rear view mirror? What do you need to see?
Car behind.
That car's behind you, right through that back window. You don't adjust it so you see your peeps in the back seat, right? Or your kids, parents, you adjust it to see out the back window, okay? What about side mirrors? Because this is where we find most common errors are being made. What's the purpose of side view mirrors?
Blind spots.
There you go. Say it louder, Dad.
Blind spots.
Everybody say that with me. Blind spot.
Blind spots.
That's to avoid or eliminate blind spots. That's what the side view mirrors are for. Now, how do you adjust them to avoid the blind spots, though? How many of you are like me that when you adjust your mirrors, you barely see the side of your car when you're looking out it, right? Yeah. That was real comfortable back then, but that, you know what, I had a professional driver one time ask me, so Million, what color is your car? And I said, silver. How many doors does it have? 4? Then you don't need to see it, do you? You're right, you don't. So here's how you adjust them. Here's how you would adjust it, if you would. The left one, you want to tilt your head all the way to the left, not your whole body, just your head. Everybody, you do the same thing. You tilt your head all the way to the left. You'll adjust the mirror so you can barely see the side of your car now, so that when you're sitting straight up, you can't. You can now see the blind spot. You see, you're standing in the blind spot right back there, Dad. That's the blind spot. You can see here, your peripheral, but you can't see back there. Then you do the same thing for the right. You tilt your head all the way to the right. You adjust the mirror, so when you're sitting up, you can't see that side of the car. It's really uncomfortable for those of you that are not used to doing it that way. But if you try it, it'll take about 32 days for your body to say this is okay. Because psychologically, it takes 30 to 32 days to make or break a habit. So you got to get used to it. That's the safest way. Look at your books. You see, where's your book, sweetheart? Does Dad have it? Let me have this book, Dad. We'll go to page 15. I want you to look at page number 15, and I want you to look at the pictures with the mirrors on them. You notice that in the left-hand mirror, it's a very small picture. If you don't have glasses, you might not be able to see it. But you see that house? You can also see that same house in the center mirror, can't you? And then if you look at the center mirror over to the right, there's a white house. You move over to the right mirror, you can pick it up in the right mirror too. So you should be able to walk around the car, parents, in the blind spots and say, can you see me now? And they should be able to see you all the way around it. Can you see me now? Can you see me now? Can you see me now? Sounds like Verizon, only video, right? Can you hear me now? So that's how you adjust them. Anybody? Questions? Anybody now committed to say, yes, I'm going to start adjusting them right?
Yes,
It's a little difficult, trust me, it's uncomfortable. Okay, good. Now that you're in the car, though, I'm going to leave you in the car, because we've just gone through the 4 major distractions, so we're not only going to test you. Dan, are you doing it? Come on up, Dan.
All right, my name's Austin. We got Preston here, and Dan's over at the computer. We actually travel pretty much the nation here. We do a lot of, we try to teach teens the dangers of distracted driving, try to save lives. So today we're gonna have, I think a lot of you have done it, but for those who haven't done it, what's gonna happen is Preston's putting a virtual reality headset on Dion here. He's gonna see a virtual reality road in there, and you'll see it all on the left-hand side as well. So Dion's gonna try to navigate through this road map and do as good as he can, drive as well as he can using the gas, brake, and the steering wheel. And Preston's gonna try to distract him. So we're gonna see how that affects his driving and hopefully get him to change some of his tendencies maybe. Tickets, or ask one question though. 4 distractions, what are they? Does anyone know? There's 4 of them. Cognitive is one, manual, auditory, and visual. Excellent. So Preston's gonna distract him and.
Alright. Once you see that road, you can go ahead and start driving. 45 is going to be your speed limit. We're going to let him start driving like he used to and show us that he's a good driver without just being distracted. Which looks like he is doing pretty well right now. Speed up a little bit for us if you can. Alright. Now here's a manual distraction. We're going to have you reach in the back seat. There's a red bag on the ground. I want you to try and give me the water bottle out of that bag as you're driving. He's reaching back to the right, and his car's going off to the right with him. This happens to a lot of people when they're driving. It's behind your seat now. Yep. Reach for that, try and grab that water bottle for me. There's a water bottle inside that bag. Try and get me that out. And stop a little far back. Pull up a little bit. Alright, good. You happen to have your cell phone with you? That's fine. Wait for that light to turn green here. Alright, your sunglasses just fell on the ground. See if you reach down and try and pick those up as you're driving.
Whoa.
Alright. Good. Now, let's see if you can reach in the back and try and get one of those black bags off the seat.
Dion, watch out, buddy.
Alright.
Oh,
Alright, he did make it to the end there. You can see how much harder it was for him to drive and control the car while doing those different distractions. That's what we're trying to show you. Try and get you to eliminate some of those distractions when you're driving, when you start driving.
All right, give him a big hand. Good job, Dion. You're lucky. The last group we had, the young lady, did she hit a pedestrian or did she just crash? There were police officers here there too. Are they still here? It was funny because I told them, okay, come on over, cover. I think she probably thought we were serious. All right, now obviously, here's what we want to make sure you do. Whoever has not done this, we want to make sure before you leave today that you come back over here at the end of the program and do it. That's why it's here. We want you to get an understanding of what it's like. Did a good job, guys. Thank you. Give them a big hand, will you? Give them a big hand. It's not easy, let me tell you. All right, everybody turn to pages 16 and 17 of your books. Now is the opportunity for you to do what we call a scavenger hunt. Now, if behind you we have 5 cars that are set up. They're the ones with the trunks open and also the hoods open. And what we want you to do is, with your parents, we want you to spread out. Hold on, don't leave yet. I want to give you your instructions because there's a few you don't need to find. We want you to look for red dots with numbers on them, and we want you to answer the questions. And there's a couple of things you don't have to look for. On page number 17, on the top of the page, number 6 and 7, where you put the jack, don't worry about it. I'll show you a bit. I'll show you on the screen because I don't want you climbing on the floor or getting on the floor to see that. And there's only 2 vehicles out there that have power steering fluid. There's only 2 vehicles that have power steering fluid. The others have power steering, but they use electric motors. They don't use hydraulic pumps for their power steering. So don't freak out if you can't find it, okay? So you just got to know that. Everything else you can look for on the vehicles. I will give you a hint. We have 2 Lexuses in the mix. When you get around the Lexus, we have guys from the dealership here too, by the way. These guys are not going to tell you everything on the car. They're just there to answer questions, right? Well, I don't want them to tell you everything. I want you to look for it. But if you have a question that stumps you, they're there.
tricky one.
Not giving the answer. Not giving the answer.
You doing a walk around, I'm like, let him find them. That group was like, red hot.
I don't know where the guy
The challenge here is that I'm going to try to distract you.
We'll see how you handle, a couple everyday tasks. Grabbing a drink of water.
Turn on the radio, and then changing the radio station.
All right, go ahead. Full throttle.
Now you grab that water bottle for me.
Take that bottle out. Open that up for me. Hey, shuffle. There you go.
Don't press your phone. Slow down.
Open the water bottle. There you shuffle it.
I'll take the water bottle.
All right, gonna turn the radio on there for me.
Now once you turn on the radio, find the station. Watch out for a pedestrian. Whoa!
Turn that radio on for me. Oh boy. Water bottle.
Isn't it awful?
That's so much harder. I'm a little bit excited there. Make sure wipers go on.
All right.
Just like a few seconds of opening the water bottle, I could have ran into like 3 or 4 things.
I was surprised at how much I didn't see.
Now that, again, like I said, that's 10 miles an hour. We used to do this, when we did this first about 10 years ago, we would put parents on the distracted driving course and let them drive it. And then they'd come in and we'd say, how'd you do? Oh, I did great. So, well, let's watch. So they didn't know we had cameras, not in the cars, but outside, and they were hitting cones. And, I mean, it was crazy. People, you just can't drive distracted. People think they can. That's because we judge ourselves. We judge ourselves how? We judge ourselves by our intentions. We judge others by their actions. See, our intentions, I tended to do better. So let's first of all make sure we go through the books and answer all the questions before we actually go any further. On page 16, what's the answer for the oil dipstick? Number 5, that's right. What's the answer for washer fluid? 3. Kids, why can't you put water in there instead of washer fluid? Yeah, it's going to freeze on you, right? In my hometown you could, but guess what? Washer fluid's much better. Because washer fluid has a solution to break up all the gunk that the bugs have in them or anything else that would get on grime, and it plus coats the window with something so that when it rains the water runs off a lot easier. Then radiator fluid sticker is number what? 10. Number 10, good. Then brake fluid, 11. And those of you that found the power steering, what was it? 12. There were only 2 vehicles, the FJ and the Sequoia. The reason? The only ones that use power steering fluid in our lineup are our trucks and our large SUVs. They're called true off-road vehicles. In an off-road vehicle, you need very heavy-duty steering, and the hydraulic steering is heavier duty than the electric motor. Now, the benefit of electric motor, because somebody asked the last one, which is really good, the benefit of electric motor steering, they call it electronic steering, is that if it requires a belt to run the hydraulic pump on these, which means it takes power from the engine. If the engine shuts down, you don't have power steering. If the engine shuts down on a vehicle that has electronic steering, as long as you have battery power, you still have steering. So you can easily get off the side of the road, no problem. And it takes no power from the engine because it uses a separate motor. Why don't we put a motor on those? Because it takes a big motor. It would be too heavy and too expensive. So when technology changes, we'll change too. All right. Next one is where's the spare or the battery terminals? What number? 8. 8. Very good. Where's the spare tire? 7. That's right. Now, is it a full size or a donut or put on your book a temporary? there's really three types. A full size would be the same size circumference and width. And only the luxury vehicles now will give you a full size spare. Except the RAV4, if the RAV4 had it on the outside, it would be full size. But the RAV4 has it where? Inside, so it's full size circumference, but narrower tire for space saving. So let's get our definitions clear. Full size means same size that's on the vehicle. A temporary spare is one that's the same size diameter, but it's narrower. It's a skinnier tire. It has the same rolling circumference, but it's skinnier, okay? A donut is also skinnier and smaller. And they say you can go up to about 50 miles an hour with a donut and no more than 20 miles. I wouldn't even go that fast because it pulls your car either way depending on what side it's on because it's a smaller tire. Why do we use them? Space. Space and cost. Those are the two things. And weight, they say. Because sometimes 1 pound will put you over a classification where you've got to classify a vehicle midsize rather than compact, and that changes the entirety of the lineup. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about tires as we move forward, but let's move on to the next one. Oh, and by the way, do you know why most of our SUVs, actually all of our SUVs and trucks have full-size spare circumference? Because they're considered towing vehicles, and you cannot tow with a donut. It's against the law. You can't tow anything with a donut. If you have a donut, you can't be towing. All right. Where can you find the automotive manufacturer recommended tire pressure? Okay, where is that though? Yeah, the driver's side door jamb. Technically speaking, we call that the B pillar. But that's where you'll find it. It might not be on older cars, but it's on all the newer ones, federally mandated. It tells you PSI and kilopascals, which is the metric version of PSI. And it also tells you what the spare should have in it too. Well, where's the spare tire jack? That's number 4. It's a different place on every vehicle. Now, let me show you, before I show you where it's supposed to be, the first one I'm going to show you is what you find when you look at the instrument panel to see what side the gas tank is on. Do you see the arrow next to the gas pump? That tells you left side. Not all vehicles have it, but all of ours do. Okay? Oh, I don't know if my mic is messing up or what, but all of ours do, and it's purposely put there. If you didn't have that there, what would happen is that when we would rent vehicles out in rental fleets, people would go to a gas pump, they don't know what side it is, go to the wrong side, they'd back up at a gas station and get into accidents trying to change sides. So we just decided to put it on there, it avoids accidents, it's safer all the way around. Okay? Now, here's where you would put, how many of you drive a hybrid in here? Anybody drive a hybrid? If you did, I would go through this. If you don't drive a hybrid, don't worry about it. Let's go right here. You see these right here? It's the same thing that's on page 43 of your book. Go to page 43. There's a line drawing. It's the third drawing down, third graphic down. You're going to see that. That is where you put the jack. It's the strongest place on the vehicle. It's the strongest place on the vehicle. Now notice the little indentations, if you will. Why those indentations? For this reason. I can take this and I can put the jack right inside there and it won't fall off the jack. You see that? That's why it's there. It's the strongest place on the vehicle to lift the car so you don't cause damage to the car or safety to you. A few years ago I turned into my neighborhood and somebody was driving a Nissan Murano. Nice vehicle. They were trying to change their tire. They put the jack in the wrong place and the jack went through the body of the car. They didn't put it in the right place, so guess what? It was on his leg. It had fallen. Thank goodness it didn't squash his leg, but it pinned him. As I turned in, I almost hit him. He was on the ground, but I stopped and I oh my God, it freaked me out. So I said, I'm okay. It hasn't come down any further, but I need to get this off my leg. I ran home. I have a hydraulic jack because I work on cars as a hobby and bikes. I put that under the car, lifted it up, got him out, and I asked him, did anybody teach you how to change a tire? And he said, no, sir. He said, nobody's taught me how to change a tire. He said, the dealership wanted to at delivery, but I wouldn't let them. It didn't have enough time. You need to go in your manual, your owner's manual, and it'll tell you exactly where to put the jack for your car. But on most cars that are unibody cars, that's on there. It's on there. And it's a safety thing. Then I know a lot of you are saying, just call AAA or call roadside assistance, right? Yeah, but what if you don't have signal and you got to get out of there? That's why you need to know. This is right out of our owner's manual of a Land Cruiser. A Land Cruiser is a body-on-frame vehicle. That's the same thing as a Sequoia and the same thing as an FJ. They're body-on-frames, which means that you got to put the jack underneath the frame, and it tells you where to put it. It tells you right where to put it. So use your owner's manual. Okay. Now, hey Debbie, now it's time. We're going to hand out a little device for you while I give the rest of the answers here. This device, we're going to explain what it does, but let's get the rest of the answers here. Where's the fuel door release? What number was that? Number 1. On some cars there isn't one. It's just right there. You just pull the lid off the side of the vehicle. Then what are the 4 things that you put at the bottom? That's right. Mirrors, seats, belts, and steering wheel. Good. Those are the 4 things. But Debbie and, Alex is also helping out here, handing out. They're handing out a tire gauge. This is not only a tire pressure gauge, but also a tread depth gauge. They're giving it to every teen. I want you to show that to your parents. I want to show you how to use that and what do you do with that. Can I have one, Deb, just for illustration? If you'll notice this, it has 2 sides to it. It has a flat side, which the flat side you would use to check the tire pressure of a vehicle. You go to the valve that is on the tire, you unscrew the cap and you push this side right on that valve. What will happen is it will pop up, and I want you to pull this out by the metal piece. Pull out that stem. You can pull it out just like this. Now, I want to explain those markings on there, so I want everybody to see this. So teens, show it to your parents too. The markings on there. First, turn it so that PSI is facing you. PSI stands for pounds per square inch. That's how you check tire pressure, okay? Now, you should check tire pressure when tires are cold, not hot. When they're cold. If you have to check it when they're hot, like when they've been moving or spinning, it'll add about 2 pounds to 3 pounds of pressure to it because it expands when they get hot, okay? Now, notice that if you turn it to the left, you see KPA. That stands for kilopascals. That's the metric version of PSI. Make sense? There you have it there because a lot of people are doing metric now. Turn it one more time to the left and you'll see millimeters. We have that on there because I can check your brake pad depth with that and we write it down in millimeters. What you want to use for tread depth is if you turn it one more time, that's called NDS. NDS stands for 30 seconds. Okay, it stands for 30 seconds. Now, every state has a minimum tread depth that you're required by law. Okay? In New Mexico, it's 30 seconds. Notice the screen here. What you do is you take that metal piece and you would stick it into the tire tread and then you'd push it down until the plastic forks are on top of the tire. Then you would read what it says right there at the neck. As you can see, this one is about 9 30 seconds, a brand new tire. That's really good. Now, the minimum of 30 seconds is because of law. You got to have at least 30 seconds or it's an illegal tire. What does that mean? I'm not saying they would do this, but I can guarantee you I've seen it happen. Insurance companies will go and they'll send out an adjuster to check your car. If you've reported it as a crash and something occurred, and if you have less than the minimum of a legal tire, they could very easily say, sorry, we're not paying out because you didn't have legal tires and that was part of the problem. Now, if it wasn't deemed part of the problem, they're not going to. But if it was, it could happen. That's why it's so important to keep the proper tires on a vehicle. Now, this is just a new tire. This is what it looks like. I'm going to go to the next slide. With a worn tire, you notice now I only have about 30 seconds. I want you to notice something here before I move forward. You notice these little rubber pieces inside the tread? Do you notice that there? Those are gauge depth. Those are, I guess they call them wear gauges or depth gauges, wear gauges. It shows you that when it finally gets to this point where they're straight across, like on this, you need to change that tire. A lot of people will look at the tire and say, well, there's no steel showing or no polyester showing, so it's still okay. It's not okay. You need tread, especially here in this area. You get snow, you get rain. You've got to have tread. If you don't, you're hydroplaning. If you're hydroplaning, you don't have contact patch. None. Now this is obviously needs to be changed. Got it? That's what you do. How often should you check the tire pressure on a car? Every time you get in it, right? That'd be kind of crazy, but it'd be nice to do that. At least once a week or once every week and a half. Check, because you'll get leaks on tires. It's too late. And you should check the tread depth in more than one place on a tire. Don't just check one place, because you may be wearing them unevenly and it's all right now, but it's really not all right. It's just real important to make sure. Now, moms, dads, if you have to change a tire, what do? What kind of tire do you put on it? I want you to write 3 letters down at the bottom of page 17. The letter O, the letter E, and the letter M as in Mary. OEM. That's right. It stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. If you need to change a tire, call, get online, find out what kind of tire came from the manufacturer on that vehicle, and put that on there. Don't just go to the closest tire store and buy the cheapest tire, because it may not be the right size. Even if you're putting the size of tire, some cars recommend the kind of tire because they've been tested with the vehicle. They test it for durability, performance, and safety. And sometimes, if you buy a used car, those of you that buy used cars, I do. I buy used cars too. Make sure you check the tires to make sure the tires were the same that came from the factory. Because some people put the wrong tires on them and just put new ones on to sell them. And say they got brand new tires. Well, great. But they're the wrong size, so guess what? And the wrong tires. Check with your dealership. Trust your dealership. A lot of people think it's a perception equals reality. Dealers are too expensive and they take too much time. No, they're not. They're the same. They're very competitive on not only their work but their tires, and they don't take time. We have express service now. All dealerships have to be competitive. So trust, no matter what dealership you're at, trust them. You know what I'm saying? Their service departments, they're like your car doctors. All right. Now, any questions? Okay, did you learn a bunch so far? We're on the last stretch home. I'm gonna go pretty quick. Are you ready for this? Here we go. It's all about communicating. So I want you to turn to page 23. On page 23, you're gonna see a 3-step communication system. It's a coaching system. We teach this to teens as well. When I do teen workshops, how many of you teens in here have younger siblings? Let me see your hands. Keep them up so I can go all the way around. There you go. You know why your siblings were put on this earth? To bug you, right? That's what most people say. You know what's amazing? You're there to mentor them. They want to be just like you. And it's your responsibility to help coach them. As they grow up, they're looking to you as an example. They are. Some of us don't want to be. My 15-year-old, my 9-year-old will bring him something and it'll be something from his heart, and the 15-year-old goes, oh, I can do it better. It drives me insane. It'd be like me taking the 15-year-old and say, oh, I can do it better. It just breaks their spirit. Let me tell you something. You can mold your younger brothers and sisters to be the young men and women that we need. And here's how you do it. It's on page 23. It's called Teach, Demonstrate, and Encourage. Those are the 3 steps, proper steps to coaching. Let me do this real quick, if you will. Turn to page 24. And I want you'll see you have blank lines and you have small lines called rating. Let's build the perfect coach. How many of you kids and parents in here had a coach in your life or a teacher that was so influential that you loved and you thought was the best? How many of you? We all do. It could be an aunt, an uncle, a grandma, grandpa, it could be anybody. My grandfather was my hero. Well, what are the characteristics of a great coach or great teacher? What are they? Scream it out. What is it? Patience. Somebody said patience. Write patience down. And then score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How are you with patience? You said trust. You're absolutely right. Put trust down there. Score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Rate yourself. How are you with trust? What are some other characteristics? Louder? What'd you say? Understanding. Good. Put understanding down. And then rate yourself 1 to 10. Encouragement, very good. Put encouragers or encouragement, and then rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. All these are great things that great coaches and great teachers do. I got to interview John Wooden when he was alive for another program I was doing, and one thing he told me more than anything else, he said, we would never ask one of our students or one of our athletes to do something that we wouldn't be willing to do. Which meant we're going to be what? Role models or good examples. Write that down and rate yourself. He was a great man. It's amazing. All those, we can keep going. And why rate yourself? That only tells you what you need help in. If you want the truth about how you are, you don't rate yourself. Give it to your team or your significant other and let them rate you. I remember when I took this home for the first time about 10 years ago after I'd finished writing this section, I told my wife, honey, I think I'm about a 7 with patience. What do you think? That's what she did. She laughed. She says, you'd be lucky if you're a 3. I'm like, are you serious? Let's ask the kids. They know me better than that. She said, go ahead. We asked the kids. My youngest child at that time was, I think it was like 6. He was actually probably the most honest. He said, Dad, I think you're a 0. I'm like, are you serious? My gosh, you know what? That's how they really know you. Let me tell you something. We say this. During the course of your life, people are going to do things to upset you. Am I right? It's not a matter of what they do. It's a matter of how you respond to it. If you're going to be a good teacher or a good coach, number 1, you have to have patience. You said it. You have to teach with patience and love. That's what it's all about. With patience and love. If you don't have the patience to be the right seat driver for your team, what do? Let somebody else do it. That's right. You can be the coach on the sideline, but you cannot be that right seat driver. Why? I'm telling you what, you'll ruin your kid. Am I right, teams? You got enough pressure already. You don't need somebody screaming and hollering at you from the right seat. I know, my 43-year-old, I'm telling you, when she was 15, I'm not the right seat driver. My wife is. I stay out of the car. I'm the coach outside. She's on the right seat. My right leg would develop a cramp every time I'm in that car with him because I want to go for that break. And he'd say, Dad, is there something? Oh no, nothing's wrong. Or I'd be holding on to that handle and it's like, oh, my hands were sore. And finally, she pulled out of traffic and I couldn't take it anymore, so I screamed at her, stop! Well, she did. She got out of the car and she walked home, 1.5 miles. She didn't get her license until she was 21 years old. Every time she had to go somewhere, my wife would look and she'd say, you ruined her, you drive her. And I would have to drive her. I never prayed so hard for a boyfriend with a car in my entire life. But it never happened. I'm telling you, it never happened. So what we're saying is that teach with patience and love. The second thing, here's the simple truth. Everybody take a look at this. No matter how much teaching or education you give people, they're going to act or perform just like who? You. That's why John Wooden was right. He said, pillar number 2 is to be a good role model. If you want kids to drive safe, what should you do? There you go. That's exactly right. Don't just tell kids, do what I say, not what I do. You got to practice what you preach. You got to be the walking sermon. That's exactly what it's all about. Right there. That's tough though, isn't it? Yeah. Let me tell you something. It's not easy to do this at all. Here's the third one. And you said it. Dad, you said it, as an encourager. You got to be an encourager. Good coaches use attaboys and attagirls all the time. Somebody makes a good shot, they say what? Good shot. And when do they do it? Right away. They don't wait till halftime, bring them in and say, hey, second quarter, 3rd minute, 27th second, good shot. Kids are going to be like, what? They do it right away. Am I right? What's different about that than kids driving? If they make a good turn, what do you say? Good job, good turn. You don't have to slobber all over them and hug and kiss them right there. Just say, good turn, good stop. Way to watch your speed. That's what we're talking about. Because you see, how many of us are good encouragers in here though? Let me see your hands. Thank you for saying that. Okay, how many of us should be good encouragers in here? Everybody raise your hand. Let's promise each other. Let's just do this. Let's raise our right hand and let's repeat. Let's all say this, starting with I promise. Are you ready? I promise to be a good fighter. Catch people doing things right.
I also promise to
Reinforce them with positives immediately. Now sign it. If you really believe it, sign it. Promise each other, be accountable to each other that you will be a good coach and a good finder and not a fault finder. And there you have it. That's it. That's really simple. It's teach, demonstrate, and encourage, because pillar number 3 is be a good finder. Be a good finder. That's pillar number 3. And there's your model for you right there. Teach the why and the how with patience and love. Demonstrate with integrity by being a good role model. And 3 is encourage with consistency and honesty by being a good finder, not a fault finder. Very simple. Everybody say it with me. It's simple.
It's simple.
It's just not easy. It isn't. It isn't. It's simple, but not easy. Now, with that out of the way, let's have some fun, all right? I'm going to do something, and what does it say up here? What does it say? Good. Because I'm going to walk over here. I'm going to grab this chart, put it up here. I want to make sure everybody can see the chart, okay? I'm going to grab this big marker on the bottom. Actually, I have my huge jumbo marker right here. When you open this one, everybody goes, woo! Man, that was stinky. Glad the cops aren't here. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something on here, and I want you to stop me when I do that, all right? You ready? Here we go. Thank you. What? Well, wait a minute. About 2 minutes ago, we all had our hands up and said what? I promise to be a what? A good finder, and to catch people doing what? Things right. One of you did. And when I do, to praise them when? Immediately. Well, I did this right. How many of you said good job? Not one of you. You did the second time. I was listening. Trust me. I got good ears. Second time, one person said it. Maybe 2 people said it. Third time, you stopped saying it. How come you didn't say it again? Because of peer pressure. Nobody else said it, so why should I say it? I'm on a good roll? Yeah. That's good. You know what? I didn't say stop you when I made a mistake. I said stop me when I do something that what? Catches your attention. Well, what caught your attention? That's right. The negative catches your attention easier than the positive, right? That's right. You know what's amazing? It's. I told you it's simple, but it's not easy. It's. Did I set you up? No. Yeah, I set you up. Am I sorry? Heck no. I'm an educated derelict. I know this, but I don't always practice it. I went home 2.5 weeks ago. My son had mowed the lawn for the first time without me telling him. I was so excited. And then I saw that he left a mohawk right down the middle of the lawn. What do you think I focused on? The mohawk. I said, wow, nice mohawk, man. I said, look at that. And he said, he walked me over to our mutual driving agreement. He said, Dad, you promised to be an encourager. You could have said good job for 90%, but you didn't. You focused on the wrong. And he's right. He's right, I did. We've got to, guys, this is such a negative world. We've conditioned ourselves to be negative. What do we call the traffic lights out there? Why not go lights? We tell kids not to get in the car with strangers. Why don't we tell them only get in the car with people you know? Don't take candy from strangers. Only take candy from people you know. We tell them don't put your feet on the furniture. Instead, your feet belong on the floor. Why don't we change the way we talk? Because it's easier to find the negative than to find the positive. We need to recondition ourselves, especially as it relates to you being a coach with your kids driving. Instead of waiting till they do something wrong and saying, slow down. Why not notice that they're driving the speed and say, way to keep the speed. Those things that get rewarded get repeated. If you tell them slow down, guess what they're going to do so they can hear something next time? Aren't we all that way? Don't we all need encouragement? Let me ask you something. When you call home, if you have a significant other and you say, call home and you say, I love you, what do you want to hear? Can you imagine the conversation calling home? Hey, I love you. I know. Well, do you love me? I married you, didn't I? Well, can you tell me you love me? Well, what's the matter? Are you insecure? Well, I am right now. I wasn't 5 minutes ago. Finally, they say, all right, I love you. Yeah, but you don't mean it. You see what I'm saying? And kids, let me say, parents are the same way. I love hearing from my kids that they love me and that I'm doing a good job, because I don't know if I'm doing a good job as a parent. I ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing? Sometimes they say a 3. And I'll say, why a 3? And my little one will say, because you didn't buy me this. I say, that doesn't count. Yeah. But if he tells me, and he was right, when he came to me that day, he said 3. I said, why, sweetheart? Why am I 3? His name is Michael. I call him Mikey. He said, because it was my weekend, and you said that you would take me somewhere that we could do something together. You took me to your office so you could work, and I had to watch Netflix while you worked. Wow. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm not perfect. I do make mistakes. How many of us make mistakes? I had a teacher in one of my classes that was disagreeing with me. She said, Mr. Mann, I disagree with that. I said, what are you talking about? She said, I disagree with that. That's a certain level of expectation. I can't say 2 + 2 = 4, good job every time they do it. There's a certain level of expectation. I said, ma'am, you're right. But let me ask a question. She was sitting next to a gentleman. I said, are you married? Yes. How long? 17 years. Wow, after 17 years, you know he loves you, don't you? Absolutely. He tells me every day. In the back of my mind, I was going, poor guy. I'm only kidding. I wasn't saying that. But I said, so, wait a minute. He tells you every day, and you're saying you can't do that every day? I don't understand. So I looked at him and I said, sir, what she's doing is this. She's giving you a pass, but for the rest of your life, you never have to say, I love you. And she said, that's not the same thing, isn't it? It's the same exact thing. Same exact thing. So practice it, try it. Hold each other accountable. Try to be more positive with each other. That's the key. That's the key. Now, there's a whole lot of other things we can go through, and I'll tell you, there's all kinds of activities you can do. When you're practicing, you can when you're driving mom or dad or grandpa, grandma, whoever it is, and your kids are in the right seat, let them coach you. Let them coach you. Just don't let them be smart Alex, right? But let them coach you. If you see something, you say, I bet that's going to happen there. What should I do? Let them tell you. Then give them room. Move out of the way. Drive in this lane. Good. If they're learning it enough to coach you, then you know they're learning it. That's the key. Kids, just don't be smart aleck with it. Just be honest with it. If mom or dad are holding the car with one hand, like I tend to sometimes do, I was a lowrider growing up. I had a lowrider. I grew up in Espanola, New Mexico, lowrider capital of the world. I'd put one hand on the steering wheel, right, the other hand out the door, and that was it, because you could drag your knuckles if you're a lowrider. I mean, that's the way it was. And my kids, my 9-year-old, instead of saying, Dad, 2 hands, he'd say, excuse me, who's driving? Oh, I want to smack him. But I just say, hey, just come on, be respectful, just tell me 2 hands, no problem. And then he'll do that. But they try to be smart aleck sometimes. But hey, as long as he knows it. When do kids start learning how to drive? The minute they're facing forward in their car seat. That's when they learn how. They watch you. They watch you. So have some fun with it. Practice in a vacant parking lot. Make sure it's vacant, no poles. Because teens are attracted to poles, right? Actually, everybody's attracted to poles, man. We go where we look. And that's what it is. Now, remember this. Teach the why before the how, and remember, you as a coach, you're responsible for practice, feedback, and reinforcement. Those 3 things. Practice, feedback, and reinforcement. Now, remember, I told you, perfect practice makes perfect. Well, practice makes permanent, but you got to practice perfectly to make it perfect, right? You have to. Now, the same thing is with accountability. I'm going to tell you something. We have to be accountable to each other. We just have to be. We can't have a low self-esteem where we're feeling bad. If you're doing something wrong, that's fine. You get caught, you admit it, and you go on from there. Just do it right. Show them that you're willing to do that. That's the key. And then finally, we gave you a mutual agreement. It's sitting on your lap. A lot of you have it already. Here's what it looks like. It's a pre-driving agreement on one side. It's a driving agreement on the other side. Now, I'm not saying you have to use ours. I'm just saying we started this for you. We've created something for you. You can use anybody's. It says mutual agreement, kids, because it's not just you that there's expectations on. We're putting expectations on us too, as coaches and as role models. And it's a mutual thing. It's not something that we're throwing on you saying this is a contract. It's mutual. You can add to it, You can subtract from it. You don't have to do it exactly as it says it. My son and I took almost 2.5 hours to go through ours. I added something to it. It was all about, I told him, hey, you have a curfew. Your curfew is 10:30. You're 15 years old. 10:30 curfew, that's it. I don't care. I don't care if you're at church. You're at home at 10:30. That's it. Boom. He said, but Dad, state law is 11:30. I said, when the state starts feeding you and putting a roof over your head, then you can do what the state says. Right now you're doing what I say, no negotiation. Boom. Some stuff is non-negotiable, right? But we have one now, and at least we can go to it, and he can call me on the carpet. I gotta tell you something, little kids out of mouth of babes, he was the same one. I adopted my 15-year-old when he was 3 years old from the Czech Republic. He could only speak Czech. The only word he knew that I knew was Mishka, which means mouse. He saw Mickey Mouse and it'd be Mishka, Mishka. No, that's why Mickey Mouse, they say Mishka, Mushka, Mickey Mouse. I didn't even know that. But we sent him to Montessori school. In 3 months, he had learned English almost perfectly. It's amazing. In 2nd grade, he came home with a note from the teacher. It was a bad note. It wasn't good. My wife showed it to me. She says, but he has to show you. Let's let him do it. Okay. Well, I had 3 days to think about how I was going to respond to it because it took him that long to build up enough courage to bring it to me. He brought me the note and he was feeling pretty bad. He gave me the note. He said, Daddy. I said, what, sweetheart? He says, I brought a note home and it's not good. I said, what did you do? He says, I was disruptive in class and I'm really sorry. I said, okay. So I took the note, I put it aside and said, get in the car. His eyes got this big. He says, why? Let's just get in the car. So we got in the car. Before we backed out, he got in the 3rd seat, by the way. He was in the 3rd row, all the way back. He said, where are we going, Daddy? And I said, we're going to go have Cold Stone. You know what Cold Stone is? Ice cream. I love it, man, as you can tell. He loves it too. And he says, but wait a minute, I did something wrong, Dad, and we're going to go celebrate? I don't understand. I'm confused. I said, son, you're in 2nd grade. This is the first time you brought home a note that's bad? How many times did you not bring home a note and do we celebrate about how great you were doing, how proud I am of you? I said, we're going to go celebrate all the days you didn't bring home a note. How's that? Oh, halfway there, he said, Daddy. I said, what? He says, you're the best dad in the world. I know. But let me tell you something. What my dad lives in me. Because as a little boy, you want to be just like Daddy. As a teenager, you want anything to do with your dad. And as an adult, you realize you're just like your dad. And my dad was coming up in me, and I wanted to say, but if you bring home a note like that again, I'm going to bust your butt. I wanted to say that, but I didn't. I squashed it. And you know something? It's the best thing I've ever done. Best thing I've ever done. You got to do it. You got to do it. So I want you to turn to page number 29 of your book, if you will. Turn to page 29. We're going to promise each other that we're going to work on this. We only have a few minutes left. We're going to do our graduation ceremony. But here's what I want to do. I want you to face your parent or your grandparent or your aunt or your uncle, whoever brought you here. I want you facing each other, and I want you to repeat after me. In the next 48 hours. To work on an agreement. I do this because I love you. And I know you love me. And if we don't do this, Mr. Million's coming to our house. And I will too. You have food, I'll be there. I'll be there. Now sign it. Be accountable to each other that you will do something within 48 hours. If you don't do it, you'll never do it, folks, I can tell you. I've done I don't know how many classes and sessions, and I know people, if they go back and they just forget about it, it'll never get done. But this is the one thing that you will get more benefit from because it's accountability. Hang it on your refrigerator. Keep it available to everybody so you see it, and go back to it. Review it. We review ours all the time, and it's like, and I'm glad for it because it gives me something to coach with. It gives my son something to coach with too. But you have to be willing for accountability. And then finally this, before we go to graduation, I want you to do this. There was an index card on your chair. And what this came from, I didn't tell the last group, but I'm going to tell you. You guys have been a great group, an absolute great group. You're a blessing. When I was 14 years old, I got the most precious gift I've ever been given in my life, with the exception of my children. And that was this. When I was 14, they handed a journal to me for my birthday. It was a journal that my grandfather had started writing in every day after he found out my mom was pregnant with me. Because he didn't know if he was ever going to live to see me. He was an elderly gentleman. He lived till I was about 7.5, almost 8 years old. I knew him a little bit. But he would write every day to me while I was in my mom's womb, telling me how much he loved me and what was going on. And if he ever didn't meet me, just know that I was loved. That was the best gift that anybody ever gave me. I still have that today. Now I have it electronically. I keep it with me electronically. I just scanned it and keep it in my, I get to read all about him. I also have kept every card that anybody has ever given me. I take a picture of it and I keep it with me. You know why? See what it says when in need? There are times in your life, kids, I'm going to tell you, because every one of us has gone through this, that you need your mom or you need your dad or your grandma or your grandpa, and they're not there. So where do you turn? I turn to my Win box. I open up my box, which is now my Win phone. It's all electronic, and I read all the nice things that my family has said about me in the last 58 years of my existence. And let me tell you something, I was loved. I was loved. And so are you. The difference, I have it on paper. That's what I'm going to challenge you with. It's like getting a Hallmark card. Sometimes you never throw them away. What about getting a card that was written from the heart, not by somebody that was paid to write that same? That's what I'm giving you an opportunity to do right now. And on the index card, write a note to your parent that's here, write a note to your teen that's here. Just one line. Doesn't have to be a book. I love you because, or I'm proud of you because. We as parents and grandparents need to hear it too. It makes us feel so good to hear it, does it not? Oh man, I love hearing that. I love you guys. Come on. Everybody at the same time, I love you too. I gotta hear it. That's what feeds me. Even if you don't mean it, say it. I don't care. So just take a few minutes and just write that one little card before we do our graduation. All right. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. I've got certificates up here, but here's how we do our graduations. What I'd like to do is I'd like to have all the teens come to the front of the room, and I'd like all the young men to form one line straight across on one knee facing your parents. All the young ladies behind the young men standing up, behind them facing your parents. So two lines, young men on one knee in front, young ladies in the back. Come on up. Go ahead, it's time for graduation. I'm going to go past this knowledge check too. All right, come on up. Come on up. We have a lot of kids. Guys on one knee, get down on one knee. I know it's hard on you, you're so young. Just wait till you get my age, man. You won't be able to get back up. I get so become with this, don't you? All right, look at this beautiful group. Come on in, son. And you guys move this way a little bit because we're going to be taking pictures too. All right? I'm going to read your name, if you will. And please forgive me. Forgive me if I mess up your name. Nolan Burns. Where's Nolan at? Congratulations. You can stay there, Nolan, by the way. Congratulations. Well, let's hold our applause till everybody get back down on your knee. Young men go, why do I have to get on knee? You're going to be on one knee eventually. Dion Crockett. Where's Dion? Congratulations, Dion. Zachary Davies. Where's Zachary at? Congratulations, Zachary. Alyssa. Did I say Ivanix? Is that how we say it? Congratulations, Alyssa. Now, how do I say this? Quan? Is it? Did I say it right? Quan Fields? Yeah. Did I say it right, Quan? Kawan. All right, Kawan. Now, how do I say this? Is it Tinya? Tanya? Tanaya. Tanaya. How do you say your last name? Gaylord? Geller. Tanaya. Congratulations. Kian Hoover. Did I say that right, Kian? That's close enough. Congratulations. Man, I love these names. Is it Kian and then Zion? 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 Congratulations. Amari Lee. Where's Amari? Did I say it right, Hank? Congratulations. Arthur Lee. How did I say your last name, Arthur? Arthur Lau? Congratulations, Arthur. Ethan Lau. Are you younger or older? Older? Congratulations, big brother. Travis Martin. Where's Travis at? Congratulations, Travis. Like those shoes, man. Melena. Where's Melena at? Congratulations, man. I met you guys earlier. Stefan Packwoods. Where's Stefan at? Did I say it right? Stefan? Stefan. Congratulations. Ooh, look at this. There's a Steph. Steph Pichon? Did I say it right? Steph. Congratulations. Catherine Pirino. Did I say it right? Pirino? Catherine, congratulations. Isaiah Richardson. Isaiah, congratulations, Isaiah. Now, how do I say this? Khalil Riley? Did I say it right? Khalil. Congratulations, Khalil. Caitlin Sanford. Where's Caitlin? Congratulations, Caitlin. Okay, I got something that's upside down and nothing on it. Nothing on it. What are these blank ones here? Okay, blank. Then we have, how do I say that? Is it Gazish? Did I say that right? Congratulations, honey. And Felicia. Felicia, congratulations, Felicia. See, we got a lot of them here. And Ruben, is it Ruben? Did I say it right? Congratulations, Ruben. And here's one. Now, you have to forgive me. Is it Jahai? Jaya? Jaya, congratulations, Jaya. And Natalia, where's Natalia at? Congratulations, Natalia. And Jason, where's Jason? Congratulations, Jason. Now, did everybody get a certificate? Everybody got one? So I just have a couple of extras that are blank. Very good. All right, here's what I want you to do first, if you will. Turn it around, if you will, and I want you to show your parents the back side of it. That is our curriculum. If you show that to your insurance company, they may give you a discount. All right? Now, go ahead and turn it so that you have your name. Put it to your chest. Don't cover your face. Put it to your chest. Parents, you can take your pictures as we present to you the graduation or the graduating class here on Saturday the 25th of Autoland. Here it is. If you would, give them a big hand. Graduating the Teen Driver Safety Clinic. Good job, guys. I love it, man. Thank you so much. No, stay there. You're not done yet. I want you to stay there. Now I'm done. Thank you, man. That was great effect. No, we're having some fun now. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys. I'm not talking to your parents when I'm talking to you. I want all of you to look into my left eyeball. I'll tell you why my left eyeball, not my right, because my left is the closest to my heart, and what I'm about to say is directly from my heart. I already told you once that we're not perfect, that we make mistakes. And I'm sure your parents would agree with me to say this, that we've made mistakes in the past, but you are what? Not one of them. So everybody, I want everybody to say before we go forward, I am not a mistake. Say it. Absolutely not. You're one of the best things that's ever happened to us. In fact, the minute you were born or adopted into your family, at that very moment was probably one of the most precious moments of your parents' and your grandparents' life. I'm telling you this, kids. And it would be unnatural if you were to leave this earth for some stupid reason of some crash that would occur as a result of not having the education to get out of that. And that's what we hope we've done for you today. But let me just give you a warning here, if you will. Uncle Jim's telling you this from his heart. Knowledge without application is useless. You've got to use it. We have too many educated derelicts out there. Take it and use it and share it. Do you promise? Everybody raise your right hand and just say that. Say, I promise, Uncle Jim. I appreciate it. I love you guys. And I know they love you. So get back to your parents. Come on. There you go.
Guys, I know you're very tired. I know, a lot of you had ACTs, I guess, and SATs today, so God bless you. Thank you for hanging in there. I hope you took something out of the class today. It's so important. I know I did. I was able to sit through 2 courses, and I have to tell you, I'm still blown away every time I watch Jim give the course, because as a parent of 3 that drive, I know I'm guilty of almost every single thing he showed us today. And we can only hope that something soaked in with each of you. With technology, the way these cars are being built now, they're built so well, but technology has really distracted most of us. So if we could just, take a chill pill, take a deep breath when we're driving, we could always make that call when we're done. I want to thank Toyota Motor Company for selecting Autoland to host the event. They're a phenomenal company. We love them. Obviously, our staff. I'm going to bring Francesca, which is our event coordinator, Francesca Roman. Appreciate, Francesca, everything you did, and all of our staff. We have 250 people that helped put this together. Come on up, Francesca. We're going to give away a nav unit, so hopefully someone sitting in front of us is going to win it. Who's going to pull this? Uncle Jim, come on, you're pulling it?
Again?
You're going to pull it again?
All right. Are you ready? Let's see, what was his name? He gave me $100? All right. Last time we pulled a blank one. Let's see if we can pull one that has a name on it.
A blank one.
Yeah.
You always give it to me.
There you go.
Jason Reyes?
Jason! Come on up.
Jason, that doesn't count. You didn't even want to come. We have to force you to sign up. Are you kidding me?
That's awesome.
Jason, congratulations. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Listen, we know that you're all tired, you're hot, you want to get out of here. We don't blame you. We've got plenty of food, plenty of refreshments. We're going to play some music. If you want to still hit the simulator and you haven't hit it, you still have a little bit of time to do that. We hope that you all have a great weekend. We're very grateful that you spent it with us, the small time that you did. And I want to turn it back over to Uncle Jim. Thanks, Jim.
Hey, listen, I appreciate it. Guys, do me a favor, if you will. You become one of my favorite people in just the, one day that we've been here?
It's a long day.
I got to tell you, man, I know, but he's a wonderful gentleman, and his team is wonderful. Give him another big hand for what they've done. This is awesome, I gotta tell you. And the guys behind this, you ever seen Wizard of Oz, the men behind the curtain? The guys shooting the video, and come on out here, give him, and Debbie's in the back, and the guys at the simulator. Above and Beyond, that's the name of their company, and they did do that. They went above and beyond. That's exactly what we're talking about. You guys have been great. We're gonna close this day the exact same way that we started, but here's what I want you to do. Before we do this, we have a parting gift for you, but we want to make sure that you turn in your ARS keypads and your evaluations at the desk back here. But everybody stand up, if you will, because we're going to close the same way. We're going to close the same way that we started. When you turn in your evals and your ARS keypad, they'll hand you a bag with some goodies in it. But we're going to close. Remember this morning we said the purpose of today is so that 15 years from now, your kids can still be in front of you and you can still hug them and kiss them and tell them how much you love them. Now's the time to give them that card, first of all. Give them the card you wrote. Kids, give your parents the card you wrote. That's what it's for. That's why we wanted you to do it. And I want you to do something for me. Everybody put your hands high in the air. Both hands high in the air. Bring them down around the person that's standing in front of you. Give them a big hug. Tell them how much you love them and you care about them. God bless you. Thank you for being here on behalf of Autoland and all the people that have worked here. Drive safe, be careful, and blessings. Right on, brother.